Are you ready? Call your mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
Check 1 2. Motherfucker, I don't know how this option got like disconnected or deleted or changed somehow. Fuck. Damn. I should go here earlier, but I didn't. Desktop audio device. What the fuck was that even that number that I heard? Fucking A. Woo! I'm already breaking a sweat over here. Motherfucker. No swearing, Jose, no swearing. Come on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear me. Yeah, yeah. Oh, fucking A. Son of a bitch. Yeah, don't fuck with me today, man. I'm pissed off. I'm already pissed off. Don't fuck with me now. Oh man, dude, I'm fucking sweating over here. So fucking like, oh, aggravating and fucking annoying. Very angry, frustrated. I don't know how in the fuck did. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Wink. Oh, Friday festivities all in. Oh, man, I'm gonna take my shirt in a minute. It's showing my three nipples all the show long. All the show long, my third nipple out, swinging all over the place and shit. Aye, please support PayPal or Super Chat. Indeed. Just a little while ago, Earth is Live, Vivo for Life, just send me $20 on PayPal. Vivo, mercy, brother. You're the man. Thank you so much for your support. That helps a lot, man. Thank you so much. I want to give a big shout out to everybody on YouTube land. Thank you all for being here. And hit the like button, share the show. Actually, that first 5 minutes of me trying to figure out the audio was more exciting than any of the Arwin shows you ever had. Actually, no, because when he rages and he wants everybody to die, that's kind of also exciting. So yeah, sorry, Arwin, I told you so. I thought that you know. Woo! Son of a bitch. First was the fucking intro had no sound for the first half. Then fucking desktop had no sound. Son of a bitch. Real Cygnus was up. Tiny Captain. Stone Monkey. Charlie Wells. Fredro. You know what? Pedro it is. Pedro it is. Martin! What up? Tiny Captain. What up? Justin Franks. Sean Hawkins. Shout out to Sean. Martin. Channel member. Sean Hawkins, channel member. Brad Wegner, big channel member. Whoop whoop. We also have Fred Bailey. What up? Citizen 9 made it in time. Hey. I am not stoned. I am not high. I am not drunk. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm smoking my cheap cigars. Yeah, I'm not stoned. This is normal, natural happiness and hypeness. And fucking anger of this. A guy had me sweating. So it's actually like warm and hot in Florida today. And me working with this fucking audio issue. Woo! Oh, I feel like I got the blood pressure high and shit. Earth is Live, dude. I appreciated you the $20 you sent me earlier. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's great, man. You're gonna have all the help possible that you can give me, guys. All right, I got a new comment on Rachi 5-0 versus the Stingray 2 minutes ago by Kyle Wilson, and he said, "Thought of an interesting experiment for a flat earther. If the sun is passing overhead rather than the Earth orbiting it, then we'd see the sunlight be shifted slightly in color due to the Doppler effect. It would appear slightly bluer in the morning, then redder in the afternoon. That say, I haven't done math on this, so I'm not sure what the expected shift would be. Whether or not it will be visible by the naked eye or not. But if Bob Knottle or one of his subs was willing to spend $20,000 on a gyroscope, maybe they'd be willing to foot the bill for a spectrometer. Not sure what they cost, but to try and measure redshift as well. Well, you got a heart, my friend. Thank you very much, Carl Wilson, for the comment. And that's what I do with every single comment that I receive in my comment section. I take a deep breath, I read it, and I heart it. If I don't like your comment, you say like, Jose, you're fucking more stupid than a box of rocks. I say, fair enough. I heart it, and that's it. I give it a heart. Now, if it's the first comment in the comment sections, in the daily basis, in the daily shows, then I'd pin that comment. You know what I mean? That's how we do it. Shout out to OLM, Genesis, Citizen 9, indeed, big channel member. Earth is Live, big channel member. Loki Fish Mars is in the house. And Kevin Conrad. Kevin say NASA rolled out its next generation moon rocket SLS, the first since Apollo missions 50 years ago. Wow. I gotta tell my parents that I have received my birthday present from dude. I'm just seeing that I received a notification over here, PP notification on PayPal, and I think that is Brad Wagner with a big $20. Yo, thank you very much. Jose, this is for the IT department. LOL. Thank you very much, Brad Wagner. I appreciate that, brother. Hells to the yeah. I gotta let my I'm gonna do a quick send a message to my dad over here and tell him that I have received the package he sent me from Puerto Rico. Dude, he sent me a few nice goodies. A nice little bag, nice little baggie, like a little backpack, little baggie with a nice shirt and nice short pants, like camo shorts, and a bunch of candies, like Puerto Rican candies. They are the best. They always treat me with some goodies, and they didn't forget the Jose's birthday, and it's good times. And I want to welcome Dr. Bob and Bogov are in the house. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Oh, doing great, Jose. How are you?
Very good, very good.
I don't know if I wished you a happy birthday the other day, but in case I missed it, happy birthday to you.
Merci. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I still haven't had to get the tune-up, the birthday tune-up that I usually do. Shave my whole head and trim the beard down, probably shave the whole thing and try to start fresh, you know. I'm a few days behind, but
Well,
I'm
at
on
least you don't look like Saddam Hussein anymore.
it. Right, yeah, I know. It's growing up a little bit, but it's not as wild like it was. It is growing. Let me finish typing this.
Happy birthday, Jose.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. The box have arrived. I'll call you after the show. That's for my dad, Herminio Gonzalez. He's excited. He always, every single day, my dad, Herminio, he is now 79 or 80. he'll have the 80th birthday now in April 25th, and God will, whoever those Christian or whatever, hopefully everything goes well, because I think it's in April the 6th. He sent me the date. April the 6th or April the 9th is when they're gonna do what they're gonna do to his heart. It's some kind of like a little ship, a coin type of thing. All right. Soon they will call me for pre-admission and analysis. The 8th of April of 2022, they give me I don't know how to say the word, the marcapasos. The
Pacemaker? Pacemaker? Pacemaker?
Yes, the pacemaker. They're gonna put the pacemaker on the 8th of April. He say on the 8th of April they pull me the pacemaker, and then we'll go party. God bless. That's his positivism always. He's a man of faith. He is always positive, and he knows. I know. We all feel that he's gonna do it right. So if everything goes well, the 25th of April, also April, he'll be 80, and I'm excited. Looking forward for that. Looking forward for the 8th of April in the afternoon to get a phone call from my mom. Everything went well. Now resting and getting better. And you know how it goes, man. We got to keep positive mind always.
I do have a lot of faith in heart surgery, heart surgeons I've had experience.
They show him he told me, I talked to him a few days ago. He said they showed me like a little video. I went to to the hospital, so they give me an idea, and they say they're gonna cut a little below the knee, a little below the nipple. They're gonna do a tiny incision, like 1 inch long. Then with little little fine tools that they're gonna put this kind of a dime size thing, little dime size thing. So it's not a big pacemaker. It's something, and then that has some kind of a little circuits inside, and that will control the heart rate or something to keep it beating normally or some shit like that. I said, all right. He said, I know. So that gave me more, hope that it's not a big ass. They don't have to butcher me, like open me out completely. It's a small incision. It's a small thing, and hopefully everything goes well. So yeah, everybody keeping in positive thoughts and your prayers here. You can.
My son had his first operation at 5 weeks old.
Wow.
And then he had open heart surgery at a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was born already with heart conditions. It's a little one.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's 24 now. He's 6'2", goes about 18 stone, and he's a beast.
Yeah. Big, healthy dude. Hell yeah, that's good, man.
If you didn't know, you would never know. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Indeed. Yeah. That's it. All right. A big shout out to everybody on YouTube land. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up and share the show. That's the best way to support this channel. And we have Big Blue is here in the house. Bogov, Dr. Bob, and Tiny Capitan. And Six Spider just showed up. What you got going on, Dr. Bob? Done. I don't know. I'm not keeping track of your channel, your content. What have you been doing? Taking a break?
Yeah, Jose, I took a break for a little bit. I'm probably going to start publishing again this coming Monday. I'm getting to the point I can breathe a little bit better right now, and I'm not quite as grumpy as I used to be. So, got that, and I just got the telescope back. It's all repaired and ready to have a look at some satellites. I'll post a picture of it. Give me a second. I'll stick it in chat.
Cool. Yeah, I'll share that. Let me start sharing the screen.
Okay, Okay, it's coming over to the computer right now. I'm going to stick that up. Let's see, Daily Boom Uncensored.
Stick it up. Stick it up. Sorry, guys, if there's a little bit of a hot mic from my end. I don't know where, but somebody's banging, like hammering something.
Going to see whether or not maybe this thing is too large.
All right, I think it's a limit.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and.
It should be all right, Bob. If it's a mobile device picture, it should be good.
Let's just make it a little bit smaller.
That's what you think. Oh, say, can you see? No, not yet.
Give that a shot. But it's all repaired and it's tuned up and
Nice.
It's tested, and we're ready to go ahead and stick it out on the pier in the yard. The pier's all set up. I've been using the camera on it lately.
All right.
But now the telescope's actually back, and that's kind of my setup right there for the 80 millimeter. That's the one I bought from Sean.
Yeah, I got 3. I'm sharing it over here on Discord, so if you want to click on my screen share. Picture sideways, damn it.
Bob, can I ask?
Sideways. Sure.
Bob, can I ask what's the foam for? You have a foam there at the where the light comes in?
Oh, the tip? That's a heated dew shield. That you run that to a 12-volt battery, and the base of it, the one that's towards the pier, not out towards the tip, has got a heating element in it. The biggest limitation that I have with my telescope right now is that the ice forms on the lens, and that of course blocks the image. And this thing here creates a heated, a little heated cushion of air right over the lens that prevents dew from forming on it. And if there's no dew, there's no ice.
Basically, it's the carb heat, but for a telescope.
Yeah, it's a carb heat. Yeah, it's carb heat for a telescope, exactly.
Okay, so I have another question. Is if I have a telescope and I'm actually in a very warm weather, would I have the same issues?
No.
Sorry, my question is will temperature cause distortion of the lenses? Or is it just the ice?
Well, the two things that you run into a problem is if you go below the dew point, you're going to start getting condensation.
Right.
And if you're in a warm environment, say you're in the tropics or something or other, you're not going to have the condensation that we're going to have here in a temperate climate. As far as the distortion of the glass of the lens itself from temperature, to be honest with you, unless you're dealing with a 1 meter lens, I wouldn't worry about it.
Right.
You're going to get far more. You're going to get far more problems with the atmosphere. You get a lot of. That's the big problem you run into when you try and take pictures of the moon and such. Is you get a lot of shimmer from the atmosphere. You get that miraging.
Right. I got that in my P1000.
Yep.
But I think it's a bit.
Yeah.
But the mechanism there, because the lens is so flimsy, sometimes I think that's why it's shaking, because it's an actual engine that moves the lens, and it's enough, just to touch it or something, and it's changing the lens actually moves.
Yeah, you don't do that. Always put it on manual when you use your camera. And you control everything on it. You control the focus, you control the zoom, etc. I use my Canon for that a lot. I've got a Canon Rebel SL1 that I can mount on the equatorial mounts, and you always use manual with that.
Very awesome.
Wait,
very awesome. Thanks.
Have Gary Webenga been in your house, Bob? Did he give you these big, thick rubber bands?
No, he didn't. No, he
Okay,
didn't.
just
He's not been over. He's not been over for beers in a while.
okay.
But yeah, there's. If you look at it, the main body of the telescope, of course, you can see. Off to the side, you'll see the guide scope. The two red hockey puck looking things, those are the astro cameras. And the red rectangle that you see up there is the focuser, the remote focuser. Because even just touching the telescope to make a fine adjustment on the 11-to-1 focuser causes shakes and such. But with that thing there, I can do it by, I've got 300,000 steps on that, and I can adjust it one step at a time. You put a batten-off mask on the end of it, and you can really get a very fine focus.
How much better than magnification-wise, optic zoom-wise, this telescope is better than a P900?
Well, I've got no idea. I know that this telescope, generally, let's see, what's the general rule of thumb? The maximum magnification you can generally get out of a telescope is twice the aperture in millimeters. So I can probably get 150, 160 power with this. I don't know what a P900 does.
83 times.
So about twice as much. And it's
2,000 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, the P900.
Well, this has got a focal length of 660 millimeters. Hail Sagan. But Galileo did all of his discoveries with a telescope that had an aperture of about an inch and gave him about 20 power. I have binoculars that are more powerful than his telescopes.
Let me ask Lemonbird, if you know anything about telescopes, and maybe you want to talk to Bob for a minute, because he got this beautiful machine over here, and he do some cool observations of the stars and stuff.
Yeah, that's the small one, by the way.
Oh, fascinating. The thing that made my ears perk up is Dr. Bob talked about miraging. Are you saying that there's a potential for this instrument to duplicate the stars and make fake miraged star images?
No.
Was that what you were talking about?
No, I'm talking about a shimmer. You can get a little bit of a shimmer, kind of like looking, if you do a high zoom camera, and you look at a distant object, you see how it shimmers a little bit in real time. You get that same effect when you look at the moon. That has to do with air currents and the jet stream. And you can generally, even looking at it, you can tell the direction and velocity of the airflow. It's kind of interesting. When you use a telescopic sight on a rifle, that's one of the ways you tell your windage is you look at the mirage. You read the mirage.
Lemonbird, do you think you can trust this telescope when it has rubber bands and zip ties over here on it?
I don't know if we can trust everything that the telescope presents to us. I think back in the past they were doubting these telescopes because they were basically saying that there was duplication or some form of fake image that was generated by the telescope. Stars that weren't there, constellations that weren't in their books that appeared depending on which telescope you were looking through. And that's why my ears perked up when Dr. Bob talked about miraging. Basically, it was making me think about that and whether these telescopes are presenting fake stars or duplicated images of dubious quality potentially in the viewfinder or whatever.
Lemon, fake stars? Bob, do you guys what do you think Lemon means with fake stars?
I think it's just silliness.
Duplicated stars, mirage stars, fake star images, or reflections in the instrument itself. What did you think?
Well, you have to deal with refraction because the star will. The star, obviously, you're looking at it through the Earth's atmosphere, and as a result, you're going to have a slight refraction on it, which means that the star's position will not be exact as far as, like, say, what the Hubble would see.
It's making me think about what this telescope is presenting, if anything. I think back in the days when they were talking about this UFO stuff and these unidentified flying, things up in the sky. They were talking about them being some sort of extraterrestrial thing because of their weird shape. But somebody showed how you could get weird shapes for the lights in the sky simply by changing the shape of the aperture. You could go from a round object in the sky to a triangular shaped object in the sky simply by changing the opening from a circular opening to a triangular opening. And all of a sudden, the lights in the sky take on a different aspect simply from the aperture of the instrument. So it does make one wonder when it's being presented to us in the eye and the telescope or whatever based off of its shape, its aperture, its size, what's being reflected in the eye, the telescope or whatever. It's very interesting.
No, it really isn't. If the telescope is properly focused, you see the actual shape of the object. The only time that you see a different shape of the object based on the aperture would be if the telescope is defocused. For example, with a round aperture, you'll see a donut form with the stars, which is, your typical flat Earth. Hey, look, how can we see Mars when I can't see it with the P900? It's poor focus. If you have good sharp focus, it doesn't really matter what the shape of the aperture is. As a matter of fact, if you look at that the dew shield there, if that dew shield kind of gets in the way of one corner of the aperture, you're not going to be able to notice it. It's not going to change the shape of the star. The other thing that you can do is you can actually put your hand in front of it, and the only thing that will happen to it is that it'll dim a little bit. It won't change the shape of the object you're looking at.
It does make you wonder, that flat Earth contention about, we don't even know what they are, what's up there, because, you can change the shape of the light according to this. You attempted to debunk these UFO lights up there. You can change the shape of the light of whatever's up there simply by changing the shape of the aperture. So maybe we're seeing round balls up there simply because we have round eyes, round telescopes, or a round aperture. So I
in
guess
other words, you didn't listen to anything that I just said,
I'm going to finish my point before you pipe up and brain fart, Dr. Bob, just a second, and I will be finished. So it does make you think that maybe you're seeing an object that is being shaped as some sort of fake effigy by the aperture of the instrument, as opposed to something that is a round globular light up there, a globular round star light up there at the very least. Dr. Bob, you were saying?
You were correct, Bob. He didn't listen to a damn thing you said.
I listened to what you said and extracted what I had to out of it to solve another problem. Just because I take another thread in the conversation doesn't mean that I'm not listening to you, Dr. Bob.
What problem did you solve?
In the future, Dr. Bob, I would appreciate if you and others wouldn't demand that I only work out the thread of conversation that you're talking about. I have other ideas and other things that I want to work out in the conversation as well. And in a conversation, normally it's allowed to flow to different threads and different parts of the conversation as needed. If you do that for me, I'll do that for you as well. But anyway, I just thought that was it.
No, thanks. We're fine the way we are, Lemon.
Yep, we got it. Appreciate it, though.
Lemon, can I ask if the shape makes so much difference? What's the James Webb Telescope going to do with its hexagonal mirrors?
I guess if it's a hexagonal aperture, a hexagonal opening, you would have a hexagonal object in the sky all of a sudden. I was talking about the aperture, not the mirrors.
Let me go ahead and show you what actually happens when you put something in front of the mirror. Jose, if you could share that real quick.
Yeah. When it comes up, yeah. I was just sharing to the audience. Somebody posted, this might be the telescope Lemon is talking about. It's a kaleidoscope. Sharp corner.
Lemon doesn't have the first clue what he's talking about.
Or maybe a bottle of vodka.
Dr. Bob. And unlike you, I'm humble enough to listen to new information and generate new ideas. I'm not a closed-minded prig. Therefore, I am educatable and coachable, unlike you.
All right, we got the image up. Looks like a star.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that you'll notice on that star is that the shape of the star itself is round, but you've got those 4 spikes coming out of it. I don't see the image.
Yeah, screen sharing.
Oh, there it is. I got it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody know what those 4 spikes are from?
The cross represents the creator, God, doing the cross sign. Oh, I don't think that's it.
That's the spider on a reflector telescope. Those are called refraction spikes. And when you see those crosses like that on stars, you notice all the stars, of course, are round. But there's an object on the front of a telescope called the secondary mirror. Let me see if I can go ahead and.
So perhaps it's a ball shape because of the ball-shaped aperture, the round circular aperture, not because it has a shape in and of itself.
No.
Did you take this image, Bob? On screen right now.
No.
Oh, okay.
I've taken it. I don't have, my telescope doesn't do that. But you see, here's the, let me go ahead and put this up. Here is the spider, they call it in the front.
Gary, why, venga, I unmuted you, but you got a mute on your own end because I guess you're working. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, whenever the next image come up, I'll put it up.
All right. So you see, here's the business end of a reflector telescope. So you see in the distance the primary mirror. This little round thing with the 3 screws on it and the hole in the center, that's called the secondary mirror. And what that does is that's a 45-degree mirror. So the light comes in the aperture here, reflects off of that big mirror in the back, comes up to this mirror, and then it's sent over to that little silver tube that goes out to the eyepiece. Well, in order to hold that up there, it's got these little support structures on it. And those little lines set up diffraction spikes in the images to give you that star, give you the 4 spikes on the star. Now, on my telescope, I have 2 different types of telescopes. One is a refractor, which is kind of like a spyglass thing, and that does not have those supports. It doesn't have a secondary mirror in the front. Here's the other thing that you want to have a quick look at. Here we go. This is called a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, which is what my big one is. And rather than have the supports, it just has a glass disc. Come on. Where'd you go?
I got a telescope. It's called my thumb and index finger. I just put them together, tip to tip. I make a circular shape, and then I put that on my eye. That would be my telescope, like homemade telescope. I'm waiting for the next image, Bob.
Yeah, so am I. It's giving me a bear of a time here. Doing weird things on me.
Lemon, are you watching my screen? My screen share.
Here we go, finally. But this
Which
is what they call a Schmidt-Cassegrain.
In house, Jose. Next image coming up. Here you go.
You see, that's got a secondary mirror as well, but it doesn't have the spider on it. It's actually got a glass plate that the secondary mirror sits in. And the secondary mirror on that is parallel to the primary mirror and reflects back through a hole in the primary mirror to the eyepiece. And you can see that down below. So the cheapest way to get a really big one, big aperture, is the Dobsonian, and then the second cheapest one is this reflector, and then probably a more cost-effective way of doing it is to a variation of the Schmidt-Cassegrain design, where it goes back through the center of the mirror.
Do you understand all these functions on these telescopes, Lemon? Like, good enough? I mean, I never pay attention to it. I just don't have to distrust that what I look through the telescope is in front of me, just very far away,
Anything that I don't understand, I can learn later. I think that it's interesting, though, that the shape of the aperture may change the shape of these lights in the sky, whatever their actual shape is, if anything.
It doesn't. Thanks.
It did, according to the video that I saw. Changed them from circular to triangular with a triangular shaped aperture. Very
Well, then
fascinating.
the video was wrong.
So I can take a picture of a cube and it will come out circular because of the aperture?
If it's a light source like a star, an
Answer the question. If I have an aperture with a specific shape,
I try to extract the pertinent information from the answer and stop being so close-minded. Unless your cube is a light source like a star that shines, no, it's a solid object with definite shape. These lights in the sky appear to be things that don't really have a shape, so no.
Okay, so now it's a light. So I need the cube to be a light source, and then it can turn out to be a sphere?
Light. It needs to be a shapeless light like the stars, essentially.
If it's shapeless, what does it matter about how the shape changed? If it's shapeless.
Would be changed by the aperture then, like they showed in the video that I saw, changing it from a circle to a triangle to whatever.
Okay, so what are the conditions? Does it need to be a light source, or does it need to have a shape? What do I need to do to take a picture of a cube and turn it to a circular? What do I need to do?
Cube already has shape. Light sources may or may not have shape.
Right, but the cube can be a light source, right? But the cube can be a light source, right?
No, light's bouncing off of the shaped cube. It is not a light
source. So if I have a lamp, I have a lamp that is square, and I take a picture of it, you're saying the aperture will change it to a circular, yes?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
Perfect. So everything you said since you joined is useless and has no point because you don't know, and you just said you need to go and check.
Nice. I gave you close-minded prig. Shut up for a second. I did give you the conditions. You need a shapeless light. Now, if you're going to take a lampshade and make it square or whatever, I need to look into that. But with the stars, we don't really know if they have a shape at all. We assume that they do, but do we really know that? I don't think so.
So you're assuming they don't.
Circular to triangular based off of the aperture. Based off of what
does the sun have a shape, Lemon?
They've already changed its shape with the shape of the aperture.
What's the shape of the sun, Lemon?
What's the shape of the sun? It appears to be round.
Round? Or spherical?
You can have a round disc, a round spherical, a round bowl. I guess I'd have to go with a round disc if I had to go with anything, but I don't know.
Based on what?
Based off of things spinning and starting to flatten out the moment they spin. If the sun is supposedly revolving, it would tend to flatten out like a pizza dough or something like that, unless it's a solid construct. That's how it maintains its shape.
Would that disc be perpendicular to the Earth then?
Perpendicular to the spin, whatever it is.
Well, it spins in the same direction the Earth does around its orbit. So
Earth doesn't spin. The Earth is motionless.
So the sun would flatten out into a disk, and all we'd see is a bright line.
It depends on how close you are to it. You'd see the flattening if it got far enough away, but if it's too close, all you'd see is roundness.
What evidence do you have that we would be perpendicular to the spin of the sun?
Perpendicular to the spin of the sun? I didn't say perpendicular.
Because it'd be a disk. Well, yes, you did, because you said the sun appears as a disk to us. That implies that the sun is, if it's spinning, is spinning perpendicular to our line of sight.
Assuming it's spinning, yes. I would say that.
Okay, well, if it was spinning at a different angle, it would appear as an ellipse, would it not?
It appears to flatten out as it gets toward the horizon. I think you guys excuse it away with refraction, but maybe it's just
so the sun changes its direction. So the sun changes its direction of spin to correspond to our day.
Your conclusions don't follow. I find myself having to correct your conclusions because they're.
Well, then go ahead and tell me how that would change from a circle to an ellipse as the day went on.
We already have the sun and the moon flattening as they get toward the horizon. Perhaps that's revealing their flat.
So you're saying
far enough away.
You're saying the axis of rotation changes then.
I don't know if we need to focus on the axis of rotation. I'm focusing on the shape. You're focusing on the axis of rotation. I don't know how to integrate that into what I'm talking about.
I know
All we
you
can
don't. So let me
talk
help you
about
out here.
is whether or not it is
If
a
the
round
sun
disk
spins,
and whether or
it
not
would
we see it
form
change its aspect
a
if it gets far
round
enough
disc.
away. That's all that I'm focusing on. Whether it
I
spins this way,
understand.
that way, or
Okay, well,
whatever is kind of
you're
irrelevant.
continuing to go on, but if the sun is spinning, it would flatten out into a round disc, would it not?
That's what I would tend to believe, yes.
Great. So since we don't see a round disc, it flattens. That means that the axis of rotation has to change, right? And it
No, we
changes
see it
according to
flatten as
our
it gets
day.
far away toward the horizon. We see the sun and the moon flatten out. You guys call it refraction. Maybe it's just taking on its true aspect. Who knows?
So the axis of rotation changes as the
You
sun
keep
gets
on
further
referring
away
to this
from us.
axis of rotation, and I'm not even trying to focus on it. I have no idea what its
I know
axis of
you're not
rotation is
because
at all. And
I
to
know
me,
you
it's
don't.
irrelevant. So why do you keep on referring to it? I don't care about
Because
that.
it's very relevant, and the fact that you don't understand that is
Okay,
very
well, I
telling.
don't know how to make a conclusion based off of this axis of spin since I'm not interested in it, and I don't really feel like making any sort of conclusion based off of it. I'm talking about the shape. So why don't you just tell me what your conclusion is so we can have a real conversation that isn't frustrating as hell? What do you conclude about this axis of spin thing over a flat Earth, Dr. Bob? Because I don't care, and I'm not willing to go down that line of argumentation or questioning. So you're going to have to make that conclusion for me, and then I can address whether I believe your conclusion or not. So yet again, Dr. Bob, what are you concluding about the spin of the disk sun or whatever the fuck we're talking about over a flat Earth?
He's gone on deaf and muted himself. I imagine he's got a phone call or some such.
Okay, well, in that case, sorry. I'm just talking about the shape.
Sorry, Lemon. I was just gonna say, I know I'm your favorite person, but I was just gonna clarify what you were trying to communicate to the group earlier when you saw a video of the aperture affecting, turning a star into a triangle, into a square, into whatever. And it is absolutely true that you can have a heart-shaped aperture inside of a camera that would produce an out-of-focus bokeh effect that would turn an out-of-focus area into a heart shape or multiple heart shapes. And it does so via contrast detail that focuses through, actually doesn't focus, but forms that shape. But that's only in out-of-focus areas, deeply out of focus. That is it. And yes, you can base it on aperture. But if it's focused, then no. It's nothing to do with aperture because the light went through unchanged.
Thank you, Stingray. I didn't know about that. I guess my next question would be, since you're saying it only happens with out of focus light, are the stars in focus? I mean,
So in other words, you didn't know that even though I just told you that. Okay, I got you.
I'd have to run back the conversation, but maybe I was doing more talking than listening. I apologize, Dr. Bob. But I guess I want to know if the stars are in focus or not, and how do we know that they're in focus? If they're not in focus, then they could take on really any shape at all from our round eyeballs, triangle, aperture, whatever.
Would you like to know how we know they're in focus?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a minute.
I thought it was because they're focused.
I mean, if they're reflections off of the dome, I mean, keep in mind you're dealing with a religitarded, conspiratarded flatty. I mean, I don't see the conditions being there for them to be in focus. They're going to be reflections off of the dome that might be a little dispersed, diffuse, and, out of focus.
Okay, this is the time that I was waiting for. 50 plus people watching the show. Wow, 55 people. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Small channel, just made it 1,000 subscribers, 1,040 subscribers, somewhere around there. We're looking good with 50 plus people watching. Thank you, everybody. Just legit people that enjoy a little bit of banter and a shit show over here in the daily basis. Thank you, everybody. If you enjoy the festivities one way or another, please leave a like and share the show. The thumbs up is very, very weak, very low, the thumbs up. So everybody go ahead and thumbs up right now. Make sure that the thumbs up button is highlighted darker than the other one. so that your vote is counted. And if you can share the show and or support, throw your question, comment, concerns on PayPal or Super Chat, and we'll make sure that we take care of those and read them in real time here. Boom. And last point, and more important, big shout out to everybody over here in the panel. Without you, we wouldn't have an exciting and entertaining show like we got right now. In the Discord server, the Daily Boom, YouTube Live chat box, we have Six Spider is here. Also, Big Blue, Bogoth, Doofus Manfred, Dr. Bob, Gary Waibenga, Pain as a Shield, Lemonbird, The Stingray, Tiny Captain, and yours only, Flip Flop in the house. Boom. Now I'll go mute. You guys take it away. 3 4 on
Jose,
Friday.
there's the image.
All right, I'll put it up right now. Yeah.
Put the one up that's got the slotted mask on it first.
Yeah, it's up. If you guys are watching my stream on YouTube Live, click on my name, watch my stream, and I'm sharing that for YouTube now. And
this device here is called a batten-off mask. It's a focusing mask. Now go ahead and put up the pictures of the two stars. These lines set up refraction spikes, and as you can see in the image on the left, you have two lines that cross at the star, and then you have a third line that splits it, and you notice it's off to the right a little bit. That star is out of focus. When that star evenly bisects the two angles created by the cross spikes, that means the star is completely in focus. And that's how we tell whether or not a star is in focus or not, Lemon.
By the way these lines intersect the star, basically?
Yes, exactly. The image on the right is in focus. The image on the left is just slightly off of focus.
Huh. Because I thought that saying a thing was in focus is the same thing as, number one, saying it as a shape, and number two, that, shape is not distorted by the camera. That's what I was thinking.
No. What you do is you have this mask on, and this tells you exactly when you're in focus. Then you remove the mask and you see the true shape of the object.
Interesting.
All right, this is giving you a chance to very finely tune your focus to to the distance or wherever, just get the focus proper for that light source. And if you have that mask showing you what that's showing you, where they're all crossing like that, then you know that with a light that's coming from that light source is not out of focus. It's just simply, that's it.
Now you can do this with cameras as well. You can get a batten-off mask for your P900, which would probably take care of 99% of all of the flat Earth photographs that you see out there, because then you'll properly have them in focus and you can actually tell something from them.
But they did that, Dr. Bob, but we'd have nothing for them to take pictures of.
That's true.
Some of them are out of focus, yes. Sorry, I'm sorry to the
I've never seen one in focus.
This stuff is very complicated. Sorry to the person I called a prig earlier, and you, Dr. Bob. Sorry, I can be a little bitchy. Apologies for
That's
that.
all right. We accept that. We're used to it. But in any event, that's how you focus on these things. And, it's not that difficult to do. And you can do it with an instrument that's far better than your eye. That'll focus it better than your eye will.
And your eye can do a pretty good job.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, the advantage the eye has over the cameras and, a telescope that uses a camera versus a telescope you use an eyepiece and look at it with your eye, is that your eye can adjust to different light levels. So, for example, when you're taking an image of Jupiter, you can either take an image and see stripes on Jupiter, or you can see a washed out Jupiter and you can see the moons around it. You can't see both. You can see both with your eye.
I guess what I was implying was that these light sources are just light that's emitted from a thing that has no shape. And so the only shape that you're going to get is from the aperture, from the structure of the eye, the telescope, and the way that it lets in light and shapes it as an effigy inside of the instrument. And that's why something like a light source that has no shape, like the stars, changes, but something that has actual physical dimension and shape, like a block or I guess the lampshade that's square shaped, would tend not to change its shape under the same conditions. I guess that's what I was trying to imply. That this is shapeless,
Well,
that is shaped by the eye or the aperture.
It's not though, and you can easily demonstrate that. For example, when I do my preliminary alignment between the guide scope and the main camera, for example, I hit a light that's on a pole on the other side of the lake, a quarter of a mile away. I can see that pretty clearly. Now, if the telescope or the guide scope are out of focus, that appears as a round blob. However, when I bring it into focus, you can actually see the shape of the light bulb, which is kind of a rounded an inverted rounded triangle. You can actually even see bugs flying around the light, assuming the time of year is there. But yeah, you see what you've got up top here under Jose. This is a classic flat Earth example of looking at stars. Now, if you look at these stars, first of all, they're obviously shimmering, and that has to do with the miraging that I was talking about, from the atmosphere. But look at that very center star. You notice that it's got several concentric rings on it. Okay, that's because it's out of focus. That's because it's out of focus. If you focused on these stars, each one of them would be a point of light. But instead of doing that, they defocus it, and then as a result, you get this shimmering effect. And, the kaleidoscope.
There's a good chance that the top left one and the top right one are also Venus. So
you get a similar effect by taking a glass of water that's vibrating and then shining a light onto it, and the light goes up to the ceiling looking like a shimmering star. It makes me believe in the waters above that's in scripture, that maybe these stars are, in the waters above,
Well,
the thing you're comparing that light to, that shimmering light, the comparison that you're comparing it to, the thing that flat earthers have recorded is, as we've explained, out of focus. So not a valid comparison.
Well, but is there an object?
And you can focus these and resolve them. So the bottom line is, if you can focus and resolve them, you can't do that with something that's shimmering from water.
I just want to say something real quick. Light is non-visible to the human eye. It's the byproduct that we visualize being illumination, which is the interaction between light and an object or said medium. But light on its own is non-detectable to the eye. So the fact that we see stars should tell you that there's an interaction between either A, an object, or B, a medium. But either way, it's the relationship between the two, not just light itself.
Oh my God!
We're seeing the photons of the star.
That's stupid.
We're seeing photons released by the stars.
Photons are just an abstract concept to reify the essence of something that's never been verified. Nobody's ever seen the input or output of a photon in an experiment ever in the history of science.
Totally incorrect.
Look up the photo.
We have.
It sounds like you're saying that light isn't a thing in of itself. We don't know about light unless it's shining off of something like the waters above here, but we're not just going to see light qua light. There has to be something that it is bouncing off of based off of that construction.
Take a flashlight, shine it in your eye. You can see it. Take
a flashlight. Coming off of the air. Yeah, coming off of the air, the eye itself, yeah.
Oh, or light is not an emission. Light is a rate of induction.
What?
Thank you very much.
I get that you like Ken Wheeler a lot, but that's not helpful.
It has nothing to do with Ken Wheeler.
That's Ken Wheeler's bullshit right there, sir.
This was quoted from Tesla, and if you want to refer to Ken Wheeler, he quotes many individuals pertaining to this topic.
You know what else Tesla said?
All of quantum mechanics is based on their understanding of light, which they had wrong from the beginning. If you want to talk about a wave of something, all right, you have to talk about a wave of what, from what, and to what. Because waves are consubstantial. Waves do not exist on their own.
What did he say?
He said that he was talking about putting rockets into orbit above the atmosphere around the Earth and using radios to communicate with other planets within the solar system over great distances.
Nobody gets it all right, Dr. Bob. He got some things right, some things wrong.
Yeah, except that
Yeah,
flat earthers
how do you
don't get
tell the
anything
difference?
right ever. Like Dieslow just completely butchered how light works. Completely butchered.
No, he actually said
Did
that
Tesla support
light is like sound.
theoretical physics?
Sound doesn't travel either. Sound's not an emission. Sound is a rate of a propagation through a field or a medium. Sound does not travel as it would be noted by modern science today. It's nothing more than a field perturbation. You see, when you speak,
So explain the
the
photoelectric
oxygen and
effect.
nitrogen within your lungs passes through your vocal cords, which sets off a field disturbance, and that field disturbance is what propagates through the medium.
Yeah, explain the
Thing
photoelectric
moving from
effect.
A to B.
Come on, explain the photoelectric effect. Come on.
Photoelectric effect is where the threshold medium is unable to keep in the charge capacitance and its discharge essentially. This is how the photoelectric works.
Mix words together.
No, this was
Threshold
actually
medium and a
quoted by,
discharge capacitance. I love it.
this was actually quoted by Hertz. Hertz was actually the one who explained the
How long ago
electric.
did Hertz live?
And when Hertz explained it, he accurately explained it to a T in saying that the threshold frequency is where the electrostatic charge is generated and released, and that's what he said.
Yeah, how long ago did
There's a
Hertz
reason
live?
why he said that. It's due to the atomic capacitance, which is created when that threshold frequency light is used to create a charge disparity between the electrode and the interatomic magnetodielectric property, which is breached.
What the hell did? What did
Oh
wow,
God, that was epic!
Magnetodielectric. Oh my God.
Yeah, you guys are sipping on mainstream nonsense. You need to go back to the denotative understanding of what electricity was, not the current connotative understanding.
I see. Go
Okay,
back
meanwhile, mainstream science has, explanations for why a CRT TV works, and Ken Wheeler cannot explain. I know I was in the middle of talking, but thank you. I know that mainstream science currently has a valid explanation and modeling for how a CRT TV works, and Ken Wheeler cannot describe it. But thanks.
Actually, that's not entirely true. If you were to take that CRT television at about 60 to 80 feet away, and you were to wave a neodymium 35 Gauss magnet at it, you would see a field disparity across that tube set. And this is due to the fact that there's a dielectric field which pre-exists the magnetic field, and this is why you have the field disparity. If you were to take a Gauss meter and measure that magnetic field,
to direct the beam,
that field
and you're
quickly falls off
interpreting that
roughly
with a
after
magnet.
about 12 to 11 inches. So why is it that we're seeing this magnetic field at a far greater distance than what science can explain?
That's because there's like water that flows through everything and
unexplained
connects
by
everything.
science. That's just a lie somebody told you. If you're using a magnet to disturb the magnetic field that the TV is using to direct the beam, obviously you're going to change how it appears. No kidding.
Nowhere in science explains magnetic field being affected up to 80 feet away. Sorry.
But
there's a limit to a distance on a magnet. It is not a thing that has an absolute limit.
Well, if you think you have an answer for it, maybe you might win a Nobel Prize because no one else has given an answer to this.
I already gave you the fucking answer. Jesus Christ!
You gave me your opinion. That's not an answer.
You just kind of said that it
just happens. An opinion now.
But you don't have a field like water that connects everything. You just say it just happens. What your explanation is kind of mystical. You haven't said what is carrying this field interaction, what water, what field, what ether, if you will, or what background is carrying this this wave ripple from the TV over to the magnet when you wave the magnet around. There has to be something carrying this, like water, like ether, like a field. You're just not admitting it with your words, but it has to be there.
Why?
Because otherwise exploration stops and you're nothing more than a mystic that goes
we only have to measure that it does exist and the interactions
have no way to figure out why it's true.
Experiment to come up with some bullshit answer as to why we think that it exists.
Stop. What are you saying, Doofus?
We don't have to make up any reason for what is happening. We can measure what already exists, the magnetic interactions at a distance. We don't have to make up a fucking explanation for something.
You know what? Science has yet to explain magnetism. They've only described the parameters for it. and by which it's measured, but they've never actually given explanation on many topics such as light, gravity, and many other things.
Gravity explained.
Right, and that's not a space for you to step in and just make shit up. That's not a place where you can just fill it in with whatever noise you want to fill it in with. That's not a place where you can just put things that you cannot experimentally verify.
You shouldn't put your feelings involved and stick to validity.
I do. In fact, when I ask for tests of the ether, I only get that it has to be there, not a test.
How many postulations of the ether have been given throughout history? Do you even know that? Because if you don't know that, you might be alluding to the fact that you think there's only one ether, but there's actually been 100. There's actually been 100 types of ether postulated since it's first mentioned.
Let's simplify this.
That makes it worse.
You've got all sorts.
It's a background substance, an ocean that we all swim in. That's the 100 types of ether.
Even Albert Einstein alluded to the ether.
It's a substance of space flowing in and around you and me and other objects. It has to be there to guide exploration and guide science. Otherwise, it just stops like it did a century ago.
How about some evidence?
Right. He was talking about an ether that neither Tesla nor any of the other people that predated him believed in. It's a different kind of ether.
How's it different? What's different about it?
Well, if we're talking about things like the luminiferous ether or any other kind of ether with materialism, that any of those sorts of descriptions of ether that came before, where the waves have to be in or the things have to be going through, that kind of ether is not what Einstein is talking about.
Okay, I'd go with a different type of ether myself then. I'd go with a metamorphic ether that can take any form that you need it to under the right vibrations, the right conditions. Something like, say, the voice of God can make this ether take any shape and any solid form for, maybe 70 years or something like that before it dissipates and goes back to the ether in another form. I'd go with an ether that can change shape or something.
An ether that will do whatever you need it to do whenever you need to do it.
That all phenomena exist within.
It doesn't have to be falsifiable, right?
Universal woo juice.
It'll do whatever it needs it to do, whenever it needs to do it, however it needs to do it. Then it'll change to another form that'll do something else completely different.
I'm comfortable saying that because
I know a lot about the CRTs. I wonder if Dieslow could explain a CRT to me. I'd like to know how they work.
I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But Big Blue, the reason why I'm comfortable with the metamorphic ether is because they're transmuting elements. They're getting elements that weren't there before that are seemingly appearing out of, the ether with a bunch of electricity and a bunch of frequency. So this stuff appears to be everywhere and it appears to be able to take any form you need it under the right conditions or something to that effect.
No, that's not how they transmute elements.
Thanks for white knighting, but I really wanted to hear Dieslow explain a CRT to me.
Why? I didn't make the claim of a CRT television.
You didn't make the claim that they exist, but they exist. So now explain it.
Okay. Why do I need to be a specialist on a CRT television for you to fucking accept the ether? Sounds like an obfuscation.
Because it has a lot to do with electrons and magnets.
Sounds like a red herring.
Well, you told us it's being affected by a neodymium magnet at some distance to the other. Tell me how CRT works.
Why don't you tell us? You seem to be the one who's interested more than me.
I'm trying to learn.
Well, how are you learning when you're denying everything I say?
I didn't deny anything. I want to know how the thing works and why this magnet is having an effect on a CRT. Why?
Yeah, so you can buy a magnet off eBay, N35 Gauss neodymium. You can get a CRT television from a thrift store for about $20, and you can go and perform this experiment yourself and see what science will tell you as to an answer. And they won't give you an answer because they don't have one. Why? Because they don't understand magnetism.
Well, if you could explain how the CRT works to begin with, then maybe you could tell me what the answer is. Okay, that's what I thought.
Sorry, I'm at the store.
Well, a good exercise for both sides to jump into each other's mind and come to a meeting of the minds is try to explain CRT TVs or whatever from each other's worldview so that we can see what answers are available and aren't available for both sides. I have no idea what you talk about with a CRT TV. I'll have to look it up. But basically, with the ether getting off the CRT business and going with something else, the ether is just basically the ocean of space that we all swim in. Space is a substance as opposed to vacuum nothing. How can nothing exist? It's absurd. For space to exist, it has to be something. And the framework that accepts that, at least on some level, to start investigation of what, if anything, space is something like an ether before it was called space-time, quantum fluid, quantum foam, or whatever, new name they have for it now.
Perhaps the question was too complex. Maybe you could explain this for me. What does the acronym CRT stand for?
Critical race theory?
I think it has to do with like cathode radiative terminal.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I don't know. Not my like I said, it's not my forte. I'm just telling you this is one of the requirements to perform the experiment that I gave you.
Well,
I'll give you some hints. I'll throw some words out there, see if any of them sound familiar. You got cathode, you got anode, you got electrons, you got phosphors, you got light emission. All of those things are occurring. Seems kind of fishy that you want to stick to Ken Wheeler, though.
Well, Ken Wheeler does.
I mean, hold on a second. You mentioned electrons. You realize that electricity is not comprised of this charge-carrying particle, right? Like, the reason why...
CRT-TV debunks that notion.
Well, not at all. Due to the fact that anytime you have electricity, you always have a magnetic field. So how do you separate the magnetic field from the electric field? Oh, you can't. Why? Because electricity is not a thing in itself. It's a dual-head hydra comprised of a magnetic and a dielectric field, which induce each other, creating this electric field. You're welcome.
Jesus, man.
I don't have the heart to go on.
In the meantime, we'll just go ahead and have the CRT TVs work and debunk all that nonsense.
Happy Friday festivities, everyone! Hey, where are the super chats? I haven't get one super chat today. Now I got two. Support big time. Earlier, Brad Wegner and Beeble sent me some love on PayPal, but no super chats or no more PayPals. Come on, guys. Something. Shit. Nobody wants to send some trolling comments via super chat. Those are always fun. Boom.
Hey, Doofus, you heard of thermonic emissions, I guess, huh?
I didn't really get into that too much. No, sorry.
Yeah, that's what a hot cathode does. Yeah. What's
Okay.
it emitting? It's emitting electrons. And the anode, which is the face of the CRT, is the anode.
Yeah. That's where they have to go.
So if we make that positive, that's where the little electrons want to go. Bingo. The face to the screen. And that screen's coated with phosphor. And phosphor compounds, when you strike them with electrons, will phosphoresce. That's what causes that glow. But it is a beam of electrons being accelerated down through that tube. Now, if you put some deflection coils around the neck of it, you can move that electron beam back and forth across the screen. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a cool story. Too bad it's highly inaccurate.
Really?
Really?
How does wireless power induction work within a vacuum? Can you explain that to us with your electrons?
How does what?
Wireless power induction work within a vacuum.
We're talking about magnetic deflection of an electron.
You're talking about electrons, and I'm asking you.
Yes, electron beam.
So how do you have a wireless power induction within a vacuum if there's a flow of electrons requiring a said medium?
It is being deflected by the magnetic field of the deflection coils.
So you can't separate the magnetic field from the electric field, huh?
You can have it through a vacuum. Yeah. The problem that you're running into.
Let's see it and explain it.
The problem that you're running into is you think that the induction coils need to transmit electrons to each other, which is not what current science says. Current science says the magnetic fields are what's causing induction, and those are moving the electrons within the coils. You don't have
Actually,
to have a
that's
flow of electrons from one
that's
coil to
inaccurate.
another coil in order for this to occur.
That's actually inaccurate. If you look at the Leyden jar experiment,
My ass.
the flow of induction isn't within the metal jar, within the glass jar or the rod. It's within the medium around it. And this is validating exactly what I'm telling you. So how is
Okay,
that
well,
possible?
where did I need to have electrons flowing through a vacuum? At what point did I need to have anything to do with electrons in that vacuum?
Anytime you set up the experiment that I just addressed, which you would say would work, but I want you to explain it if that's possible.
I did. I don't have to have electrons flowing through the vacuum in order for that to work.
Yeah, that's not true. Anytime you have induction, it's just an influence of a field, typically a circuit or an object for human consumption. But these are just units of dielectric capacitance and magnetic induction, which together form electrical circuit known as voltage and amperage, or dielectric times the magnetic equals electrical inductance of the circuit, all of which give rise to the dimensions of space and time due to the fact that induction in simplex is the field's excitation of an object or circuit, so induced the flow or of energy or a raised state of capacitance or both, depending on the form of induction. Faraday was the originator. Faraday was the originator of the concept of the magnetic field, which described in terms of magnetic curves or present-day magnetic lines of force. However, he never so much as suggested in his works that induced currents were a resultant of changing magnetic fields. On the contrary, he clearly associated the phenomena of electromagnetic induction with changing electrical currents. As per Maxwell, he too considered EM induction as a phenomenon in which current or EM force is induced in a circuit.
I understand that you like to read Ken Wheeler a lot. No, the problem is if you're going to keep reading, you're going to keep reading from Ken Wheeler directly, I still have to break in and address the problem that you initiated, which was to say that mainstream science, you said that mainstream science
he clearly said that the EM force is measured by, not caused by changing magnetic fields.
You just keep reading from Ken Wheeler directly.
Neither of Maxwell's equations.
Let's address
neither of Maxwell's equations.
Let's do this. Come on.
Okay.
What are you scared of?
So
why are you so afraid of the goddamn
question? Allow this guy to fucking rumpus me.
Happy Friday festivities, everybody. This is a free for all in. Everything is valid today. Happy Friday festivities, everyone. Boom. We got a rage quitter. We got a rage quitter in the house. Shout out to Dieslow. He have left the building.
Oh, damn. And I wanted to get him to explain to me what a dielectric is. Damn it.
And he ran so fast because he didn't want to address the fuck up he made. And he wanted to just read Ken Wheeler all day to us rather than address the fuck up he made. And he's saying that if we have to have electron flow through that vacuum, he's legit lying to us, telling us what our mainstream science says.
I agree.
All I
fucking lying asshat.
Words and didn't hear nothing.
Alkay says, and I quote, "Dude rambles like fuck them. Complains about being interrupted. Must be a slappy minion. Dude rambles like fuck, then complains about being interrupted." Yeah, that's a good one. He timed himself out. Yeah, hold on. Now you feel like a Flat Earther Rumpus type of guy, you know? He's like a Flat Earther Rumpus type of guy. At least he realized and he left on his own. Sorry, Blue, go ahead.
It's pretty damn funny. The guy wants to drag out CRTs and then doesn't even know what CRT stands for.
Critical race theory?
Don't do it, Lemon.
Well, I do like the general principle that space is this flowing substance that explains action at a distance, where you wave a magnet 50 feet away from a TV and all of a sudden you see waves in the TV or whatever they're talking about. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, except that you don't have any.
It really does. That's exactly how a CRT operates, Lemon. It's electromagnetic deflection of an electron beam. Period.
Yeah, you can't debunk mainstream science if you're going to get the mainstream science wrong. To say that a magnet does something that we don't expect a CRT TV to respond to is basically a lie.
Well, I guess the contradiction that I see is a lot of the people in these chats are materialist atheists who say that all that there is, physical stuff, touching, bumping, or colliding with other stuff. But then you invoke a field theory, which has no contact, no pressure, no bumping, no contact of any sort, that is highly wooey and very mystical.
No,
if there is no physical field that is transferring this magnetic interaction from the magnet to the TV, then what exactly is beside an ether? It's just very contradictory and extremely silly. I mean, I thought you guys were materialist atheists who said that matter is all that there is, all that we are a bunch of bumping particles, but you have nothing that's bumping, making contact with anything, or transferring the force at all without an ether. That makes no sense.
You don't need an ether to transmit magnetic.
No. Does a magnet work in a vacuum?
Yeah, the ether is in the vacuum. The vacuum is purified ether that's left over in the vacuum that you can't filter out.
Where's this ether at, Lemon? Come on, give me. If it's so
Everywhere.
powerful, well then prove it to me. Show it to me. Come on, show it to me. Where is it? Give me.
I can infer its existence very comfortably.
You can infer its existence, so you can pretend
it's the only thing that you can reason back to.
You can
what is transferring from the magnet to the TV other than the ether? Nothing. And since you're a materialist atheist that thinks that everything is just particles that go bump in the night, fine. What is bumping from the magnet to the TV if not the ether?
It's not an ether.
Hold on. It's sufficient just to say that he holds a not falsifiable position. We can't test for it. We can't do anything about it. It's not falsifiable.
Well, Doofus, you say it's unfalsifiable, but I set up a falsifiable framework. You don't. You say that this force just happens and pops out of the ether with no mediator, no contact, no interaction. The only falsifiable framework is the one that I've set up. Yours isn't even falsifiable at all.
The falsifiable position that I would hold is that I can measure a force with the interaction of two magnets. That's a perfectly falsifiable position. All I need is to test to see if I don't experience that force with two magnets that are appropriately magnetized. But I do, so my position's fine. I can see this force, I can interact with this force, I can measure this force. That's falsifiable position, and I have yet to falsify.
But what's carrying this force other than some sort of background substance of space itself, the ocean of the ether that we're all fishies in?
Getting a phone call.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, trouble is, Lemon, that doesn't exist, mate.
Can I ask you a question, Lemon? Is there a way to show that? Do you have a way or an experiment to show that the ether is not there? Like, how can I falsify it? Can I falsify it?
It would be a starting framework, and starting frameworks are in a certain way unfalsifiable.
No, experiment. What can I do to falsify it?
You wouldn't be able to experiment with it. You'd have to either accept or reject the framework.
Basically, you're saying there is no way to falsify it?
It's a framework. Frameworks are unfalsifiable.
Lemon, how can I, Six Spider, can falsify the ether? Is there an experiment that can falsify it? Is there?
No, it's either a framework you accept or reject. That's the only way to deal with it. It's like trying to falsify whether all effects have causes. Can you prove that all effects have causes? I mean, as far as you can tell, no. It's just a framework that either you accept or reject and just go from there.
Lemon, think about this. It's not scientific then. The ether is not scientific. Have nothing to do with science, because science is out there and should be able to be falsified.
Not only that.
That's not quite accurate, Jose, because science has unfalsifiable frameworks all over the place that are simply accepted, and then they work forward from that framework all the time.
So here is the thing, Lemon. When someone proposed like a theory, part of that proposal is how to falsify it. If you bring a theory, if you bring an idea and you say, "Oh, there is no way to falsify it," then we have nothing to do with it. It's meaningless.
So
it's meaningless. So when in science, when you propose something, part of the proposal is a way to falsify it. because that you're showing us that there is a way to do it, and if we can do it, then it was falsified. But if you're saying there is no way to do it, then it's useless. We have nothing to do with it.
But the thing is, we can see.
Do you understand that this is part of science?
Axiom.
Do you understand this is part of science? This is part of a scientific theory. You're giving when you present.
That is on the tip of my tongue that I'm trying to get out. Let me know when I can respond. Thank you.
When you present a scientific theory, part of that presentation is how to falsify it. Now you can answer. Thank you.
All right. So let's take a look at how the ether, quote unquote, was falsified. They had this unquestioned framework that said nothing cannot exist. So we can chart our speed through the ether. We assume as an unquestioned axiom that the Earth is moving. That's one unquestionable axiom right there. So we should register a 30 kilometer per second ether drift in these interferometers. And the 30 kilometer per second ether drift that we interpret is going to be based off of a light-dark band pattern that shows up in this interferometer. Based off of splitting light and recombining it and getting an interference pattern, we're going to see these bands space out this much or be this thin or this fat, and we're going to be able to calculate some sort of a speed through the ether. We are getting light-dark bands based off of this unquestionable framework of us going through the ether on some level, but we're not quite getting 30 kilometers per second. So which unquestionable axiom do we drop? Do we A, drop the ether, or drop the notion that we're moving through space at 30 kilometers per second through the ether? It looks like they opted for B. There's still an unquestionable framework there, namely that the Earth is moving. That hasn't really been proved. But the question is, which one are you going to hold to? Are you going to hold to the ether, that space has to be a substance and that nothing cannot exist, and therefore space cannot be nothing, it has to be something like an ether? Are you going to drop that? Or are you going to drop the unquestioned axiom that you also assumed that the Earth is moving through space? Which one are you going to drop? So obviously, getting back to my point, science has unquestionable axioms that are somewhat improvable, like whether or not we're moving through space. So the only way to prove that we're moving through space is if we're moving through a substance. That's where the unquestionable ether comes in as the unquestionable substance that we're moving through to prove that we're moving in the first place. It's just an unquestionable part of science, either you accept it or reject it. That's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got
so-
it. Quick point.
Come on, Jose.
Very important super chat. The first super chat today. I'm not gonna let it go away. I will read it. I will take my time because Leo have just blessed me with a $5 super chat. The first super chat today. Thank you very much, Leo. Did Darwin try to falsify his different theories? That is a question from Leo. Thank you very much.
No, he didn't.
So-
a lot of the oh, you're responding. I'm sorry.
Lemon,
I just wanted to say that
the Earth moving in its orbit was already established. It's not taken on faith. That's already been verified.
It was established poorly, Dr. Bob, with very bad reasoning. We need to start from scratch and do this whole thing over again in some ways. It's just
In the
bad.
You only
In the
say it's
100
poorly because you disagree.
In the 140 years since Michelson and Morley, people have redone the experiment at least 10 times. Look for it. And they've taken the 30 kilometers per second that Michelson and Morley said and tuned it down to 2.5 centimeters per second of motion they can't find. So, Lemon, there is no ether.
But the only way to prove that we move at all is if we're moving through a substance. How do we prove that we're moving in a car? We're moving through the wind and we can feel the wind against our face. That's what they
You can
interpreted
measure
in this
by looking at
interferometer
stuff.
experiments. They said we had to be moving through a substance to even prove movement at all. So you guys now
No.
have an unprovable, unfalsifiable framework because we
No.
have nothing that we're moving through. There's no way to prove
Hold
it
on.
now.
Categorically false, Lemon.
Yeah, if we
Categorically
put ourselves inside of a sphere that is not changing position but is only rotating, we can easily verify that we are rotating by having a gyroscope inside. It's not like we have to stick our hand out into the wind in order to tell if we're moving. We have other ways of doing it, Lemon.
But because of
Lemon,
relativity, you could
Lemon,
be
sticking your
moving.
hand out into the wind doesn't prove that you're moving. It proves something's moving, but not necessarily you. You could be sitting still, and it could be the wind doing the moving.
But the thing is, people have glommed onto this framework because of hatred of scripture that makes us geocentric and unmoving, and this love for this Greek pagan nonsense. As far as we can tell with our own senses, we're not moving. The only provable framework that proves that we're moving is if we're moving through a substance, and you guys denied that substance, the ether, the moment it was bad for heliocentrism and Copernicanism, and we weren't getting the needed 30 kilometers per second drift through it to prove this idea that we're moving 30 kilometers per second around the sun. You guys dropped it the moment and it was bad for your idealized theory. That's it.
Lemon,
We haven't glommed onto the theory.
Lemon,
we haven't glommed onto the theory specifically because we hate scripture. We've measured things. It's not to do with our opinions of scripture at all. And in fact, plenty of Christians are in fact spherical earth people as well. So
I was one of them. I used to cuck for scientism, but then I found out I was playing on the enemy turf. They hate the flood, so they cobble up reasons to deny the flood that's in the scripture. They hate that we're the image of God, so they're trying to make us animals.
Nothing to do with opinion,
Lemon.
Lemon.
Enemy turf, doofus.
No
it's playing
denial.
by enemy turf.
No denial.
It doesn't have
nothing
anything
to do with denial.
to do with hatred over scripture. It has absolutely nothing to do with hatred over scripture. As I said, it has to do with what we can measure. It doesn't have to do with scripture.
How can you measure something when you don't even have an intelligible framework to prove movement? The only intelligible framework that gives us movement is if we're moving through something that gives us some sort of wind, some sort of interference pattern in the interferometer. You don't even have that framework, so you can't even prove it. You just have a blind
Did I even bring up an interferometer, Lemon?
It's unprovable.
The interferometer proves that the
Did I
ether
bring
is
up an
there.
interferometer, Lemon? Did I use an interferometer as an example? No, I used a mechanical gyrocompass, or a gyroscope rather, in my example.
Yeah, so that implies that a substance is moving over the Earth once a day, giving us this gyro drift, mechanical, ring laser, whatever. The substance of space is moving over the motionless Earth. That's it.
Your magical wooey stuff that does whatever you need it to do whenever you need to do it.
Their actions show the lie, paid NASA show. They return to space being a substance with quantum foam, quantum fluid, all this other stuff. That shows by their actions.
You don't understand
their
what they mean by
actions
quantum foam.
that they treat space like a substance. You can tell them by their fruits, and their fruits show that they think of space as a substance.
You barely understand electricity, and now you're talking about quantum foam. For fuck's sake, Lemon.
I understand enough. And anything that I don't understand, paid NASA show, guess what I can do? I can pray to God, and by His will, He can reveal it to me. He can show me somebody else who understands it. He can show me a book. He can show me an understanding. He can show me a YouTube video. So there's no need to
Yet he doesn't do any of those, right? He can do all of that, yet he doesn't do any of that.
Super chat time. Super chat time. Leal for a $2 super chat. Cool. The panel refused to answer my question. Let me try again. Let's try to anybody that want to answer this fairly. Well, I'll give you a chance. Did Darwin try to falsify his different theories? That's his question.
Yes.
Well, no, he didn't.
An example?
Yeah.
You got an example? Anybody who said yes?
Lamarckism, where they took the tails of mice and cut them off for 3 or 4 generations, and it was the acquired traits aren't passed on genetically.
Thank you. And you can do the same with giraffes. You can put a big giraffe in a small room, and the baby giraffe will still be tall.
And why do giraffes have 13 vertebrae? No, I don't know.
7.
Giraffes have 7 vertebrae, the same as humans.
Well, probably because they have the same designer.
Hey, Lemon, did you understand that he did falsify other theories? Do you understand that? Do you accept that? Or are you still in your own little mind thinking, no?
I was in the middle of responding. I think your response is weak and dishonest, therefore I reject it. So no. Am I missing something, Spider, before I get to respond or anything like that? Because I don't think Darwin falsified his theory at all. I think he was a general philosopher who put out this theory as some sort of alternative to the scriptures, frankly. But basically, it's back to Far East mysticism and Hinduism that says that we're all one. It's just in an evolutionary form saying we all come from one common ancestor. It's just some sort of random, alternative to the scriptures saying that we're specially created by God, and now we're just part of this Far East Hindu mystical oneness synthesis in evolutionary form, frankly.
You know what else the scripture says? It says that bats are birds.
Because they fly. They had a different classification. Yeah. So now you're preferring the current classification system to the past.
Lemon, are bats birds?
Classification systems change all the
Lemon,
time.
are bats birds?
Butterflies are birds.
They fly.
Oh, wait.
By that definition, they fly. That's it.
Hey, Lemon. So a bee, is a bee a bird?
Butterflies.
Ask the Bible. I need to see how they classified stuff back then. They had a different classification system.
They had no classification system, but thank you for showing us that you really don't know anything about anything.
At the very least, they appear to say that it flies, and it's
Is a
basically
bat a
very
bird, Lemon?
egocentric
Lemon,
for you
is a
to
bat
prefer
a
your
bird?
classification over theirs when your classification system is probably going to change too.
Lemon, when I go inside my helicopter, am I a bird?
If you
Lemon,
are
when I
flapping
go
your,
on a plane and fly, am I a bird?
if you are flapping your arms around the helicopter, yes, you're a bird.
So bats are birds. Nice, Lemon. That's very nice. Kind of funny, actually.
It's just egocentric for you to impose your classification system on the
That's
past
good.
when it was a
What do you
totally
mean
different world view.
classification?
And
Are you
dolphins are
telling me that
fish.
a bat is a bird?
And dolphins are fish. Thank you.
Yeah, what is dolphin? What's a dolphin?
And rabbit.
Technically, what is fish? That's always a good question.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
also
really a
true.
classification.
Yeah. Well, the Bible uses kinds. Well, no one knows what the fuck that is.
Kind can bring forth more of its own kind by reproduction or some sort of sexual stripping reproduction process.
You know
That
nothing
appears to be
about
even
that.
better than
No.
species
Everything
because
that you
species
said
can
already is wrong.
crossbreed and cross-hybridize all the time, showing that even the species distinction is quite arbitrary. So it
Okay,
looks like
so
kind is a better determinant because
Perfect.
it's going to whether or not they can shtup and bring forth more of their own kind or not.
Perfect. So
a
a wolf
starfish
and a
fish?
dog are the same thing? Useless.
What's the deal with starfish anyway?
What's the deal with jellyfish?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, crawfish?
Yeah. All those things that Lemon doesn't know anything about, those, all of those. By the way, Lemon, I just want to say that you are worse than young creationists because they will not. They also know. They know that bats are not birds, and they understand that there might be a mistake there in the Bible, but you don't. You are even worse than them. So you're a flat earther, and you don't know anything about Scripture or God. It's really nice.
It's not about not knowing because he might know the Bible top to bottom, you know, the whole thing. He can maybe read it and cite it from his mind, the verses and the chapters, but just you either have to accept everything it says or you have to be open-minded or knowing like, yeah, there are a bunch of mistakes. Like, this is not a science book. This is not how the physics work and all kinds of stuff like bats are birds, you know. You have to know that the Bible is got a lot of wrong things about it.
Yeah, and Lemon keep bringing Michelson Morley. Just go to your email LIGO, and ask them how much ether drift they measure. That's the most accurate interferometer you can find today on Earth. Ask them.
Howdy.
Hey.
From Jesse is here.
Could I pop in real quick and then pop out just as quick because I gotta get off to work here?
Yeah, man.
I'll help by posting something of yours.
Indeed. I've put a link in somewhere. I think it was the YouTube links text channel with a video that shows with the Nikon P1000 that I took of Jupiter how the aperture is affects what you see, but only when it's out of focus. It's like just a couple minutes long, I think.
Oh my god, it's Lemon's friend. So when Lemon was talking about the aperture video thing, he referred to your video?
I'll play it in the background without sound, all right?
I don't think he was talking about my video, but he was talking about stuff he's seen probably with the P1000, so I uploaded this in response to when he was talking about it.
Oh, I see. Sorry. You're on our side.
The main point that I was saying is that we're assuming that these stars have shape when they may not. They may be formless globs of light that take on whatever shape you have of your aperture, your eye, or whatever, as opposed to solid objects which have definitive dimensions and definitive shape.
So if we bring a stronger telescope next to that camera and we see it in better detail, and we can recognize a shape, is that good or bad? Will that work? Will you accept that, like a picture from a telescope and a picture from the P1000?
I guess we'd have to see.
I guess you'll have to, I don't know, look through a telescope one day. Maybe, who knows what you'll see, right? It's a good question. If you'll ever dare to put your eyeball to a telescope, who knows?
This one's Jupiter, so you can actually see its moons when it's in focus. Some of them, anyway.
Yeah, I get that effect sometimes, man. It's a tricky one.
Perhaps it's taking a picture of the craters in the firmament or something. Who knows?
Watch my fingers, Lemon.
But look, yeah, now we got back to being a decent kind of focus now. Now you can see Jupiter, you can see the moons.
We'd have to try a different shape aperture. If we try a different shape aperture and it changes shape, well, perhaps we're dealing with a formless blob of light with no real dimension or form on its own.
Well, what's his name? Did it, and through a pinhole like camera, doesn't matter if it's triangle, square, or round, the sun is always round. What do you say, Lemon?
We would have to check with the formless globs of light that have no shape like the stars, unless the sun is a solid construct and the stars aren't.
We just went from it could be to now you're saying that it is.
I'm the only open-minded one here who's changed from globe to flat. It's a heavy burden.
I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded too, man. I question all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm so open-minded.
I'm open-minded.
I'm a very
I'm so
skeptical,
open-minded, I
open-minded
question the
person.
term formless blob when we're looking at one of those, quote, formless blobs having moons orbit it. Seems a little ridiculous to say that it's a formless blob and nothing more.
Do those formless blobs change shape also with the right aperture? Do they change from circle to triangle to square depending on the aperture?
Yeah. Well, the aperture, I think, is a hexagon, actually. So there you go. It's not hexagon.
It would be something interesting to look into, how the opening of the camera, the aperture, may change the shape of these otherwise formless, nondescript blobs up in the sky.
But it doesn't. There isn't anything to look into. And you never look into anything.
Except the shape of the Earth, and found the curvature wanting.
You haven't looked properly.
Lemon, are you so open-minded that your mind fell out? Shout out to Dora for that comment.
Open-minded enough. I tend to prioritize the testimony of people who have been on both sides. They tend to have a much more balanced perspective, like going from flat to round.
And Jesse, before you head out, I did post one of your other challenges to Lemon as well in the Daily Boom Uncensored.
Lemon,
I didn't really get an answer back on that one.
Why do you take testimonies? Why don't you test it yourself?
Oh, sweet.
Because people can be pretty truthful, and in a court of law, testimony is used to convict or exonerate a person.
So could there be like truthful people also on the globe side?
They could mean well and be correct or mistaken, sure.
Thank you.
Did you hear my question? Could there be people who are correct and okay on the globe side?
They have to be. I mean, it's the majority.
I'll repeat it myself. I don't know why it is. It's just so frustrating. You answer And unless the answer is in some sort of, direct form that's explicitly stating what they're talking about,
Yes
people
or
get
no? Yeah,
stupid
maybe he wants a yes or
and
no.
don't extract an answer. All of a sudden, they get unable to, read context clues or extract an answer. Very, very frustrating. I said they could mean well. Number one, they could be correct or incorrect. Now, I did say they could be correct or incorrect. What about that response made you unable to extract an answer?
Because you said they could be correct or incorrect. You didn't answer the question. Are there people on the globe side that are
They could be
correct?
correct or incorrect.
Are there people on the globe side that are correct about?
He answered you. He said yes or no. He said
be.
both. He said yes and
Yeah,
no.
he clearly just said it could be, right? So that's fair enough.
All of a sudden you just get
got
stupid or something. I don't understand. You want like a direct, answer? Sure, why not? But don't get stupid all of a sudden just because my
That's
answer's
all
a
I
little
wanted.
longer than you
All you have to do is say yes. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's try to bring something real over here. I got an image up by, is this by Jesse Gordon Doofy? I got the image up for screen share. Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah, that is Jesse Gordon's.
And I'm still here.
Yeah, what's going on here in this image? You want to explain it?
Shit again.
Hey,
Oh
hold
my
on, Lemon.
gosh.
Lemon, let him explain it to me because I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me like I'm 5, please?
Glad to. So see, that's me there on the left standing on that hill. And then over on the right, 21.2 miles away, is another hill and a building. And the building is 187 feet tall. And those are all real places. And it's a public park where I'm standing there on the Klein-Spit County Park. So anyone can go there and do this. I set up a red water tube level and I sighted out across it. But as you can see, in the right bottom corner is the photo I took. And the building, even though it should be over 180 feet higher than me, is actually below eye level. And so my question is, obviously, what path does the light take to start from the top of the building, get obstructed by something that's the B that's way below eye level, and then reach back up to my eye? So if I could ask Lemon, because he said that if I look down a long hallway, the ceiling will appear to slope down. But he said if I had a string at eye level, it would not slope down actually below that string. So, Mr. Lemon, why does the building slope down? Why does the top of the building slope down to significantly below where the string would be?
It's actually nice. I understand what's going on. I mean, it's kind of a little problem. The building should be way above this level over here. Like obviously we can see it from the side view. What's going on here? Some kind of magical optical illusion going on here, Lemon?
Well, we've been going back and forth on this same question for the past week, and this dude's selective stupidity and inability to extract answers from otherwise fairly obvious statements is on a par with this, spider guy, the sixth spider. But anyway, going back to this thing yet again, when you look down a hallway, gentlemen, your eyes are obviously level. So the nature of his questions, whatever the hell he wants to, make his questions out to be currently, is that you can have something level just like with this A to B water level and have something that's higher appear to come to the level of A and B in this diagram or the level of the eye. So he can already answer his own question using logic and reasoning because our eyes are level over the flat surface, yet looking down a hallway, everything appears to approach the level of the eyes. So I don't know why he's asking these pointless questions when he can use just a little thinking, logic, and reason to answer his own freaking questions himself. Is there anything else you'd like to ask, sir?
Well, using your own hallway example, in this instance, the ceiling would have to be below eye level, which doesn't make any sense.
When you're leveling out something, things get really tricky with perspective. You can see this with a ruler. You can hold a ruler level up to the flat horizon in the distance, and it will be as flat and level as the horizon until you rotate that ruler. You do not physically raise or lower that ruler, but the moment you rotate it, it appears to ramp up or down past the horizon it was level with in the distance. What does that tell us, gentlemen? That tells us that the only way to properly level is in the distance. You cannot level in the foreground, because just like with that ruler, the moment you rotate that ruler, like he appears to have done with that AB water level, that level takes on 3D architecture, thickness, and appears to ramp up and down from the point you rotate the ruler. So the only way to properly level, gentlemen, is in the distance, not in the foreground. Otherwise, your level is effectively going to ramp up or down past the truest level in the distance.
Hold on, Bago. Hold on. Hold on. I'm listening to you, Lemon. Jose, I'm trying to pay attention. I'm really trying to understand and get into your state of mind and the way you think. I just cannot grasp to see. I mean, this is a very easy example to understand. The water level should be evidence that everything is lined up. Like at the end of this, if we were able to throw a direct line over here, straight horizontal, straight structure on other two water levels over here, you should be able to see them all line up if the earth was flat. I mean, but the issue is like it's just not happening. The height of this hill, the height of this water level should be in the bottom over here, so we should be able to see the whole building above this level, but it's all of it is below. I just cannot understand you, Lemon. It's just
But
doesn't make sense.
Jose, that's why I tried to use a simple example of holding a ruler up to the horizon in the distance. Your ruler is leveled with the horizon, it's flat with the horizon, everything appears fine until you rotate the ruler. All of a sudden, that same ruler, which was level before, appears to ramp up and down from whatever point you rotate that ruler at. That's what's happening with this AB thing here. You effectively have rotated the ruler, and you see what appears to be something ramping up or down past the horizon in the distance in a very deceptive way. That shows you, Jose, that the only way to properly level is as far as possible away from the instrument. If you try to level based off of the information in the cues in the foreground, like with that AB thing, you're going to get very weird results. You can only level a thing as far as possible in the distance where everything converges. That's the only way to properly level.
I got one more follow up, and this is legit, right? Let's say I want to do to see if the water is flat and straight test. I want to use a water level, right? I want to do a level test, and I got 100 meters, 100 yards, 200 meters, 200 yards of water level. I'm able to set up this water level, and I set up from here. I just stuck the first pipe, and I do this long ass test. And now I say, like, look at that. Yeah, it's level. Now I'm going to grab the whole setup and I'm going to scroll around. And I'm going to set it up. At the end, I'm going to set up the beginning point and I'm going to set up another 100 meters. And then I look at it. Yeah, it's level. I'm going to grab this setup. Well, is that a fair test then? Because how am I going to determine if this water level is going to determine the shape of the water or the earth or something? Is that
it establishes a level. It establishes a fair level. It's a fair level, Jose, but you need to level as far into the distance as possible, because these things are going to ramp up and down toward whatever that point is. Like I was trying to show you with the ruler that you rotate toward the horizon after leveling it with the horizon. That shows you that level appears to ramp up and down depending on which point you're focusing at. And if you're focusing in the foreground, Jose, that's not far enough in the distance to establish a proper level. You're going to get an improper level or a local level that will eventually, be pointing randomly off into space potentially.
So this test will not be then valid, right? The test that I'm telling you then?
It would establish a level, Jose, but the level that you really need to establish is as far into the distance as possible, past these levels A and B that are right in front of you with these water levels. You need to establish the furthest level possible.
So I cannot set up one test in front of me, physically me grabbing it. I go 1 mile away and I set up another level test in the same height above the water. I'm in the water. There's no tide changes in a canal or something. And I set up 2 water level tests. Can I look along this water level test and then look at the other one, both in the same view? They should be all level and straight. Is that what you're telling me?
Only up to a certain distance, Jose. Ideally, you set up the furthest level possible. Otherwise, a whole bunch of stuff could be going on in the foreground that isn't quite going on in the background.
So I got to set up this water level test and then go really, really far away to look at it.
Ideally, Jose, yes, you get the furthest level possible. That's why we keep on harping about lasers. Lasers allow long distance leveling because most people assume that they more or less travel straight and true unless you're Mick West with his sugar water shooting his laser through sugar water refraction.
And no further questions, but I got a super chat I want to read, and thank you very much to Pronon 1990 for the $5 super chat. The last 5 minutes of Lemon Bird was blah 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 flat, blah blah you're wrong, blah 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 I'm an idiot. That's what Pronon says. Thank you, Lemon, for
Well, selective ignorance is endemic in the globe community, frankly. So let's summarize yet again the thing that you should have extracted but failed to because you're dealing with an ideological opponent that you just want to be wrong and you just don't want to see the reason of what they're talking about. You set up the furthest level possible as far away from the observer as possible. Otherwise, you're level in the foreground, just like the ruler that was level with the horizon that you rotated may potentially ramp up or down from some sort of weird place in the foreground that doesn't really reflect what's happening in the background. So set up the furthest level possible. Otherwise, this A-B diagram that you're talking about is frankly irrelevant.
Lemon.
So what you're suggesting is that the water level is not giving you a level reference, or it is not flat. That's what you're suggesting.
It's giving you a good enough close one, yes. But you need to set up the furthest one possible. So ideally, A to B would be 500 miles so that you get the furthest level possible or as far spaced apart as possible.
We got to get Lemon talk to the on the level crew, to the Bev crew, because they are saying is everything that you disagree with on the points that I'm making, Lemon Bird. You should talk to them because the whole channel and the whole group is based on this, the test that I tried to tell you that is a good one. So yeah, talk to them, man.
So,
Lemon.
Establish a level with the water. The water is physically level.
Yeah.
All right, there's one last point that Lemon said something, and I have to correct him real quick. That if it's not just Mick West and his laser through sugar water that shows us that light could bend in our atmosphere. I have given him several tests that he could do himself with light bending through air. We can observe light bending through air, no problem. Air only. It doesn't have to be sugar water.
So Lemon.
Okay, so light bends, doofus. And I agree with you that light bends, doofus, but the next thing you'd have to prove, doofus, is that it is bending at the rate that you're implying with what? 8 inches of bend and curvature over a ball? That would be your next step, doofus, and you can't reach that step, and you know it. Just because it bends in part, that's a fallacy of composition, doofus. Does light bend? Sure, in part. But does it bend in whole? Does it bend 8 inches per mile squared around a ball? Doofus, you and I know that that's absurd.
I don't claim that light bends 8 inches per mile squared around a ball. I've never claimed that. So to say that it's absurd is correct, because it is absurd, because I don't hold that position. So you don't have to lie about my position like you tend to do.
If it bends 8 inches per
It's
mile,
implicit,
it won't go.
doofus. You're mentioning it as if that explains why we're seeing too far over a ball, and you know it. So since you're making an implicit argument, which implies that it's bending 8 inches around the ball or whatever would make this statement of yours, significant and important enough to include in the discussion, that's ridiculous. You're making an implicit claim that just because light bends, that this ball is viable at 8 inches per mile squared or whatever.
I gotta comment.
You don't have to imply what my position is, though. You could ask me what my position is. You don't have to make shit up about what I say. I suggest that you look into what I actually say.
I can extract more than enough information to answer the problem myself. But
you can make up shit about what I say. I know. You can lie about my position. Your job here is to just lie about my position. That's what you need to do in order to have an argument.
What is your opinion about the shape of the Earth, and how the hell does this refraction stuff have anything to do with the shape of the Earth? Go.
Guys,
hold on, guys. Let Jose get in.
We gotta move on. Let me read this quick comment, and I know Shaik is listening because he's been trying to get maybe a quick point out, and we gotta give all the people a chance. But Lemonbird, Pronon with his follow-up super chat. Lemon, stop digging your own grave. Grow up. If you want to answer that, and then Shaik, go ahead, brother.
If you grow up enough to believe lies and falsehoods, then you need to grow down. But anyway, before Chaiki can get in there, I guess we're kind of being male aggressive and talking over him. But Doofus, we're going to have to go back to that question one time. I need to know what you think the shape of the Earth is and how refraction has anything to do with answering this problem or not later. But Chaiki, what were you saying?
What I was trying to say, thank you, Jose, that it doesn't matter how far you will set your level, we always end at space. Always. And everything behind that, what you claim is a level, will drop down away from it. Anything behind it. So how far is far enough, Lemon?
Chaiki, we have a problem here. Does space end? Does this point where this thing is pointing in space have a terminal endpoint or not?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll answer it rhetorically so we can get to the logic at the end point of this discussion. Okay, if space is infinite and it can point anywhere in space, then you don't have lines with length, you don't have an operation that ends, and you have no ability to do anything with that line at all. We can only do something with lines that end and have a terminal endpoint. So even if you say that it's in space, Chaiki, you're going to need to identify where it terminates in space. Otherwise, these operations, these angles, these lines are meaningless.
I also said anything behind it will drop. Yes, we can still compare it to things behind it if we can see them, and they will drop. They will do the same as in Jesse's drawing.
But the thing is, we have this idealized line.
Be below where you expect it to see. Even if we assume what you say level is level.
But Chaiki, we have a problem. This level line that divides the top and bottom half of vision, the top and bottom half being the top half, the stuff that ramps down in the hallway versus the bottom half, the stuff that ramps up in the hallway, this line doesn't appear to be perfectly preserved. It's not this perfect dividing line where nothing, passes it and it's sacrosanct and like this holy, unchangeable thing. It appears to be more accurately represented as a zone where a lot of stuff is converging above and below that line, crammed into this space. So stuff that appeared to be above is cramming into this line. Stuff that appeared to be below is cramming into this line. And so much is going on. We can't tell what's really above or below anything with enough distance. It's not this line that is perfectly preserved, dividing the scene perfectly in half, saying, okay, now stuff will not go above or below this line necessarily. That's a little off. It's a zone of a lot of convergence, Mr. Chaiki, where a lot of stuff is going on. A lot.
Well, I think I know what your problem is. You can't identify what's above and what's below, so I can.
We do it by visual activity in the hallway. The stuff that's above appears to ramp down. The stuff that's below appears to ramp up.
Things that we see below that line of sight of us are below it, Lemon. It's that simple.
The only thing that we can conclude, Mr. Chaiki, is that something is above us by the ramping activity. By the fact that it's ramping down, the only thing that we know is that it's above us. That's it.
Hey, Lemon?
Mm-hmm.
Are you done there, Chaiki?
Yeah, I'm quite done.
So, Lemon, you said that if I had a horizontal string stretched tight in a hallway at eye level, the ceiling would not appear below the string. Is that right?
In the example that you used in the chat, you said it was below eye level. If it is at eye level, there's a lot of stuff that can cram into that space too. So everything will just cram into that eye level. Stuff above and below that eye level will cram into that eye level.
Fair enough. Let's pick a number like, say, a 1/4 inch below eye level. Say that again, you cut out.
Yes. I'm saying, interjecting yes. Please continue.
So if the string is a 1/4 inch below eye level and say 3 feet in front of me, will the ceiling of the hallway appear below the string at any point?
I would tend to say no.
Okay. So what if I strung a horizontal string a 1/4 of an inch below eye level up out at the beach where I took the picture that we were looking at earlier? Again, a 1/4 of an inch below eye level, how did the 180 plus foot building get below eye level? How did it get below the string?
Obviously, because you didn't set your level as far as possible away from the eyes. That's why I kept on talking about that ruler that you rotate in the foreground. You set up a ruler in the foreground close to you compared to the background horizon that's far away. It looks level. It looks fine side to side. The moment you rotate it, it appears to ramp above what it was level with before. So that shows us based off of the way that rotated ruler ramps up or down from the horizon, depending on where you rotate it at, that you really, really need to establish a level that is as far away from the observer as possible. Otherwise, a bunch of stuff's going on in the foreground that may not quite be matching up with what's going on in the background level-wise. It's just like with your A-B thing. Your A-B thing is effectively a rotated ruler in the foreground that appears to be ramping up or down from the horizon in the background, depending on how you rotate it.
So are you saying if I were to move my observer location back, say, 100 feet behind the water level tube setup, then the building would appear above the eye level?
You would need to establish a water level as far from the observer as possible. Yeah, that A-B thing. Ideally, you'd space apart A and B like 500 feet or something like that, as far from each other as possible to establish the furthest level possible. Otherwise, you have a bunch of stuff in the foreground that may not reflect what's going on in the background.
But why? I mean, you can clearly see that if I were to place a playing card above the eye level in the A zone, I would still see the building. How does and yet it's still geometrically, the playing card would be directly between me and the building. How does the light get from the top of the building and around the playing card to show up down underneath the playing card?
It's just like looking down a hallway. You're looking straight ahead down the hallway, but the stuff above you appears to be ramping down to the level of the eyes in the hallway. Based off of that principle, you can answer the problem right there. Something higher appears to be ramping down to the level of the eyes right there. So if that can happen there, it can happen in your example too.
But in the hallway, you already admitted that it does not ramp to below eye level.
It ramps down to the level of the eyes. Where did I admit that something doesn't ramp down to the level of the eyes? Where did I say that?
You said it wouldn't ramp down to below a thread or a string that was a 1/4 inch below the eyes.
Everything in the hallway appears to ramp toward the level of the eyes. The stuff above the level of the eyes appears to ramp down toward the level of the eyes. The stuff below the level of the eyes appears to ramp up toward the level of the eyes. Does that clear up the record for you or what?
No, we agree on the hallway, but the hallway disagrees with reality for 20 miles. There's something that happens at 20 miles that doesn't happen in a hallway, and it just happens to match Earth curve perfectly.
Well, we're dealing with new territory here, so we may need to derive new principles. If you ask me to speculate, I'd say that you only have a symmetrical scene up to the height of the observer.
We back?
So idealized symmetry and lines. Your idealized symmetry and lines would only hold up to that point, where a 6-foot object or a 6-foot zone of vision up, down, and left and right from the level of the eyes converges to a vanishing point. Past that point, you're going to get some weird ratios, and the stuff that appears to be above may be below, or vice versa. The relationships could invert based off of perspective and be totally off.
Because the light's bending, or even with straight light?
I think it's just because your visual scene is not evenly distributed. You only have even visual distribution 6 feet up, down, left, and right from the level of the eyes. As we both know, a 6-foot object will approach a vanishing point. So based off of a 6-foot object, like a 6-foot broom approaching a vanishing point, your 6-foot visual scene will approach a vanishing point. And beyond that, you're not going to have 6 feet by 6 feet anymore. You're going to have like 6 feet up, down, left, right, change to 10 feet up, down, left, 6 feet. 1 mile up, down, left, right, 6 feet from the level of the eyes down. It's going to get asymmetrical. And so that's going to throw off what you see visually incredibly. And you're going to get some really weird behavior because of the lack of symmetry.
So you're basically saying that the light is traveling through the A zone to reach the observer's camera, and yet I can place a playing card in the A zone geometrically directly between the light and the observer is still seeing that light. Is that correct?
Yeah, something higher is just appearing to be lower, just like looking down a hallway.
So if somebody were on the top of that building shining a laser at my camera, a nice thin straight laser beam, you're saying it would pass through where I've got the A drawn, is that correct?
Depending on your angle with AB, yeah, it would pass through there, but appear to be obstructed by what's in the foreground.
And so you're saying I could place a playing card in the place of the A, and the laser beam would strike the playing card?
It would appear to be obstructed by the playing card in the foreground, yes.
Well, no, if I looked on the other side of the playing card, would there be a laser spot on it?
I would assume, yeah.
Okay, so the laser is shooting out all of its light in a narrow little beam, and that entire beam is hitting the other side of the playing card and being stopped and absorbed by the playing card, and yet the observer can still see the laser, even though it's being blocked by the playing card?
The language I used was it was being blocked by the playing card. You said you'd see the light if you went to the other side of the playing card. So you'd see it if you went to the other side of the playing card. If you're on the other side of the playing card where the light is blocked, you wouldn't see the light. Or at least you'd see the light shining in a halo around the object, but you wouldn't see the light itself.
Okay, but you can see from my photo that the top of the building is visible from below eye level down at the B level. So if there was a guy standing on top with a laser, I would still be seeing the laser spot, but down in the B zone, right?
Yeah, just like looking at the ceiling of the hallway, which is higher, just like that laser guy is higher in your 187-foot example, where you're, at like, 5 feet off of ground level for both observers. Well, you said both the building and you are at 50 feet above sea level starting, and then from there, you're 5 feet up, and the building's 187 feet up. Well, it would just appear to approach to the level of the eyes and appear to be coming from lower potentially. Because there's just a lot of stuff going on visually with this lack of symmetry. You're 5 feet off the ground. You only have a 5 feet even visual seen up, down, left, and right. So after that 5 foot zone disappears and vanishes, the ratios are going to get really weird. And it's going to get like, I guess it's a 187-foot building. So 187 feet, up, down, left, and right. I'm sorry, up, left, and right, but only 5 feet from, your level of the eyes down. So the ratios are off. And
Sorry,
that's
guys.
throwing
Sorry,
off
guys.
everything.
Sorry, but I got a big super chat and I need to read this. Wow, big shout out to Anamorphic Mind. Hell yeah, man. $10. Hell yeah. Thank you, Anamorphic Mind. Appreciate that, brother. And I will admit it. The Earth is not a globe. Earth is actually in the shape of a hallway. Russia is on the left. Russia is on the left wall and America on the right wall, with China on the door at the end. Hell yeah, man. I can see that. Thank you, Anamorphic Man. I appreciate it. You see, that's thinking outside the box, Lemon. Boom.
Well, as long as you have objects at the same elevation, just like in the hallway, Jose, the same principle will apply. We appear to see, level clouds, level stars, level sun, level building. And so we can analogize it to a hallway very easily.
Well, I need to wrap this up because I got to get busy with work and stuff. But basically, Lemon, you're saying a bunch of contradictory things. You're saying that if I put a playing card down at B, I'll block my view of the laser, which implies that the laser light would be hitting that playing card. You're also saying if I put a playing card up at A, that it would be, that one would also be have a laser dot on it and it would be blocking it. You're basically claiming things which simply are observably completely false. They do not agree with reality. You really need to get a little laser pointer and just play with it. They're really kind of fun and they're cheap, and you really should do that. Unless you're, can you do that? Can you get a laser pointer?
I got one.
Cool.
play with it?
Yeah, the answer is no. He won't lift a finger. Just offer rhetoric.
I think he's looking.
I guess I could, submit myself to your prior 500-year-old bad optical principle programming, or just show you actual examples where your level line ruler in the foreground appears to ramp up or down from the thing that it was level with in the distance simply by rotating the ruler. If you have common sense and are willing to do anything else other than be programmed by 500-year-old bad optical principles, you will see that obviously your level line has the potential to appear to ramp up or down beyond what it was obviously level with in the background. So based off of that common sense principle, assuming that you're willing to use common sense and be more than just a 500-year-old bad optical principle puppet, obviously that would let you know that to establish a proper level, gentlemen, you need to get as far away from the observer as possible. And that's only possible with a laser. So I don't know what else to tell you.
I did get as far away as I could. I backed up about 94 feet, and then that's as far as I could go because there's some private property there. And so I was as far back from the level as I could get. And so I should have if I got as far back as I could have, that should have given me good results, right?
I need to see it. As far as I can tell, based off of the visual cues in your picture, you're right up on the thing. But I need to look into this further. It looks like we need to look at this from another flat perspective, gentlemen. And what's happening in the foreground may not reflect what's actually happening in the background because perspective is a hell of a drug. Vision is a hell of a drug. Diffraction limit's a hell of a drug. Refraction's a hell of a drug.
Lemonbird, when you think about us over here speaking, do you visualize this with the image that I just posted? Spinning monkeys.
I was a spinning ball believer myself, but I just woke up. I guess some people decided to go back to sleep.
Hey, Lemon, that was the greatest comeback of the week. That cracked me up. If your version of growing up is believing in lies and falsehoods, then you need to grow down. That was fantastic. I've never heard that one before.
Would be great.
All of your rhetoric is just it doesn't matter because all of the maps that we have comport to reality. All of those measurements and all those drops equal to a big sphere. I was talking to the guy that his job is to inspect ships, right? And I'm like, he's like, yeah, we have to use paper maps and as well, and the paper maps have to comport to the digital ones. So yeah, they're navigating on a sphere, and if they don't, they crash and they sink. And then he also
I don't think
what about sextants? One more, almost there. What about sextants? It's like if they have like a faulty, broken sextant, he's like, yeah, I've got like an identification code for that. Anything that's his job. Yeah, so what we see purports to what we can map out, which purports to reality, which is a sphere.
Okay, so you were talking about state control.
Lemon, it would be nice if you provide some information about your flat perspective, and if Gary hears us, maybe he can provide us something about sea level perspective, which he mentioned yesterday.
Well, Mr. Chaiki, line up a ruler to the horizon. Obviously, the ruler will appear to be level to the horizon. Rotate the ruler, Mr. Chaiki, and you'll see it ramp up or down from the horizon, showing you that your level can effectively appear to ramp up or below other things that it was level with before. That takes us back to this AB diagram of his, where the AB thing appears to be ramping up above something else that is actually lower than in the distance right there.
I think that would happen. Lemon, I think that would happen in your mind only, and rotating the ruler will not change a thing.
Because of the foreground rules.
You can try and prove us.
I got a quick simple comment. Actually, Lemonbird, every single day that I'm here and we talk to you and everybody else, we are looking into it, Lemon. We are trying to look into it.
Well, you have to look as deeply as possible. But the simplified ruler example shows that your level can appear to ramp up or down from something that it was quote unquote level with before. So effectively, this dude's AB thing appears to be ramping above something that it's actually lower than in the background. So the only way to level properly, it appears, gentlemen, is to level as far away from the instrument as possible and double check that with a laser.
Lemon,
What
just
the hell
because
do you
you
mean by ramp
said,
up and ramp down?
Lemon, just because you said
Looking
the
down a
ruler,
hallway, you see some ramping, NASA Shill. I don't know if you have a visual enough brain to visualize this. I'm
I've
too
got a
lazy to
visual
do a
brain, sir.
diagram. But when you look down a
I'm making
hallway,
up
the
shit
stuff
up.
above the level of the eyes appears to ramp down, and the stuff below the level of the eyes appears to ramp up. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, you're just making shit up, and they're using flirts.
I'm making up a hallway. Hey, NASA Shell,
you're
go to
making
a
up a hallway,
hallway
sir.
and look down it and notice the ramping. That's all I can tell you.
Ramping. What do you mean by ramping?
Oh my God.
Lemon, just because you tell us the ruler will do what you say it will, doesn't mean it will do it. Please go ahead, align a ruler, level a ruler, take a picture, rotate it, take another picture, and show us that what you say indeed happens.
This is the point when Lemonberg left, when Payna Sashil asked him, and I quote, "What do you mean by ramping?" Lemonberg just hung up instantly.
Wow. Yeah, and there's something about that, what he said with the hose, that you need about 500 meters at least away from each other, but then it will just follow the curve of the Earth.
Was that a necessary question? What you mean by ramping? Lemonberg, every single day he mentions ramping. Did you want him to go in a terrain in a long this what he does every single day? NASA Shield. He already did it 7 times
I'm
earlier
sorry,
today. Did you want him to say it again? I mean, like that question is unnecessary.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. Today it just felt like he was saying ramping, and I had no idea what the hell he meant. So
Every single day that he comes in here, he tells us what he means by ramping.
I've never heard him explain it. He says it every single
You
day.
wouldn't understand it anyway. He would tell it, and you wouldn't
Probably
understand it.
not.
So why to try to asking questions
Yeah,
that we
it's always
wouldn't understand?
ramping, 6 foot. What else? 8 meters per mile squared.
Yeah, smushing and cramming. The other thing I was going to ask about was about cramming to the eye. I don't understand this cramming to the eye stuff. But
the level of the eye, yeah.
Yeah, because we don't understand any of that.
Anyway, Jose, I'm sorry I chased him off by asking what he meant by ramping. I do apologize.
Well, I would imagine that ramping up would be the opposite of ramping down. I mean, it's not that difficult. Obviously, if things ramp up into the smushing zone, or the vanishing zone, as Gary calls it, and the ramping down doesn't really matter.
What happens if you're not in the hallway? What happens if you're here outside? What's ramping down then?
The dome is ramping down. I'm just guessing there.
Yeah, you might be right on that one. I mean, I would love to have a conversation with Lemon Bird, but I just value my sanity too much.
Well, yeah, the paid NASA shield tried to translate it into English, and that led to a ramp down. Did he say? I didn't catch it. I've been off and on. Did he say hump of Earth curve today, and if so, how many times?
Well, I wasn't completely listening, and I couldn't answer that question, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and well, there's the version hump of Earth curve or hump of Earth curve.
I got something to share with you guys. Look, I got a great gift. My nephew, the dogs are crazy because when people come in, they go crazy for a minute. Like they really go crazy. Dude, look, it's a mini squeaky earth. Holy shit. This is fucking awesome. Baby squeaky earth. Look at that. Look at the size comparison of it. Isn't this something? It doesn't sound. It doesn't squeak. I mean, I don't know. I have to do something. It's a. This thing. Huh?
Put it in water. Let it rust a bit.
Dude, it cannot be more rusty than this. Look at this. Look at the amount of rust in this this thing. It's perfect. It's a perfect baby squeaky herb, bro. Hell yeah. I'm happy with it.
Stick playing cards in it, and it would be clicking. You can make it clicking. Would put cards in it or something to make it click.
It's awesome. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a legit squeak right there. But this is good, man. I'm happy, bro. Pure, solid mass of rust. Fucking A. It does swivel, it does rotate, but it doesn't squeak. But dude, it's awesome, man. Hell fucking yeah, that's the squeaky moon now. I can do something, maybe like hang it somewhere around here. So when it's on my view, we got both. We got the squeaky earth and the mini squeaky earth just hanging in there. Fucking awesome. Thank you. Just wanted to share that with you guys. It's fantastic.
An armillary spear. Yeah, they used to navigate. They used to actually navigate with those. They have them everywhere here in Seville, like on top of bollards. Even on top of bollards, they'll have those. If you know what bollards are, you know. And yeah, it's kind of like the symbol of the town, man. It probably saved their asses, you know, when traveling more than once.
Yeah, like my shirt. Like my shirt.
Isn't it?
I know, I'm awesome. Oh, let's not make a big deal about it, you know. Let's not make a big deal about it. I know, I'm awesome, you know.
But Jose, you now have a squeaky earth and a squeaky moon.
Yes. Hell yeah, rumbling moon. See how it rumbles?
Or
good.
Creaky. You mean like a squeaky and creaky.
Beautiful, man. Really, really cool. It's actually, dude, it does look exactly scale-wise like moon size type of thing, right? It's like 1/4 of the moon size. Like 1/4 of the Earth size. Scale-wise, it makes sense. Hold on, let me go on mute. I got
really close.
Something here.
Yeah, it looks really close. Something like the surface area of the United States.
Yeah, that's actually why I said it. You know what that code is where the port state control look on C charts? You were talking to a port state control, you said.
Yeah, sorry. I was I was dodging a delivery motorcycle. I'm walking around. I got to get somewhere comfortable. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he works for the state. Yeah. But now, in fact, now he told me that they're doing virtual inspection tours.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
That have through COVID. Yeah.
Well, it's a new thing, right? It was this, so the technology is getting really good, and I've actually worked with this technology before, and so I know for a fact that, like, obviously you want to go in and touch things and inspect the vessel, but obviously, I mean, with the augmented reality, there's things that you can see virtually that you can't see in person.
Oh yeah, yeah, I understand. This is inspection before the ship is actually checked and goes out. It's more the.
I have no idea.
It's flex state control. That's flex state control.
Yeah, so this is for the. It's like subcontracted from the Spanish government. So.
Oh yeah,
the Spanish that do it. Yep. And so I don't know how this technology is coming along, or how I don't think it can completely, it's not like you're going to send robots in to inspect a ship, are you?
No, that's well, because I do a lot of delivery ships. We get every time we have to change flag, we get an inspection like that, and it's mainly they get the data from the port state control. And for the rest, all the certificates nowadays are available digital, so they can see it from a distance.
All right. Should we do a round of final thoughts and get out of here for today? It's been a few hours now. It was a show. A good one. Good one. I was very entertained. Big shout out to Dieslow. He came in for a little bit and it was fun. Shout out to Lemon Bird. Very entertaining. Shout out to Dr. Bob. Those that were here and left. Thank you very much. And all of you still here. Thank you very much. To the chat in YouTube watching. Don't forget, when the video is up and rendered, leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. The first comment that is posted on this video will be pinned if it's YouTube friendly. If the comment is YouTube friendly, we'll pin it. And you'll be up over there for the rest of the comments. If you made it this far, leave a chat, a like or dislike. Share the show. And what you guys think? Kelly Whale is going to be on MC Tunes today. You guys heard it? Kelly Whale is the writer of the new book that is going on around about conspiracies and flat earth. Any thoughts on that before we get out of here?
MC Tune interviewed that guy, Alex Stein, something Stein. He's gone viral in a video. He stood up in the state legislature, or the town hall of Plano, Texas, and did like a crazy rap. Yeah, yeah. He's just like he's like uber troll.
Yeah, I'd seen that.
So you guys don't know who Kelly Whale is. Kelly Whale is the writer of, what is it called? Off the Edge, maybe? Off the Edge book. Let me Google that. Yeah, Off the Edge. Flat Earthers Conspiracy Cult. Let me click on the overview of this book. Oh, nothing. What the hell? Oh well. Google Books.
I think did he not once request his school to get like a terrarium because he claimed his daughter identified as a lizard or something?
I don't know, but let me read this. This book by Kelly Whale. This is the young lady that MC Tune will be with her in his show today, special. I'm not sharing the screen or nothing. I'm just reading. The book is Off the Edge, Flat Earthers, Conspiracy Culture, and Why People Will Believe Anything. And there's a quick paragraph in here. One review, I'm going to just read what the first review says. A deep dive into the world of flat earth conspiracy theorists, that brilliantly reveals how people fall into illogical beliefs, reject reason, destroy relationships, and connect with a broad range of conspiracy theories in a social media age. Beautiful, probing, often empathetic and insightful human look at what fuels conspiracy theories. I am featured in this book somehow, some way. My name is there. She interviewed me about 2 years ago when she had the idea and started writing the book. About 2 years ago, she called me. She got a hold of me. We did a face-to-face interview, and I heard that my name is mentioned in the book somewhere in the segment of the book, the chapter where people that used to be flat earthers. So I'm looking forward. So anytime, maybe someday, get a hold of this book and give it a read at least. That to see what she wrote about me. But it was interesting to listen to her working in this book way before it was even up on and a solid. It came to fruition. So shout out to Kelly Well. She's a very, very beautiful, nice, very beautiful and nice young lady. Very smart. She had a few hits in some books she have written about politics and other stuff. So shout out to Kelly Whale, and I am in her book. Boom! Proud of myself. Fucking. You guys know that? It's good. Fun, fun, fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I thought she was going to send me a copy of the book when the book was up, but I guess not. And I think I lost. I recorded the interview. I don't even know. I haven't find it. I know it's recorded somewhere, maybe in one of my bad hard drives, broken computer, laptop, or whatever. I will still try to find it. If I find it, I'll upload it someday. That interview from a few years ago. That'll be cool. Remember, and that interview was almost 2 years ago, So we all evolve, we all change our perspective and our point of view, where we come from, where are we going. So after the interview, I had 2 years, almost 2 years of experience with you guys over here, almost in the daily basis. So maybe what I spoke in the interview that I don't remember exactly, what I mentioned, my point of view, my perspective was still more fresh out of the flat earth cult, group. So I don't know. I'm interested in listening to myself the way I thought 2 years ago, recently out of the flat earther, man. Good times, man.
I mentioned you in the interview tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably get a shout out from NC10 or her. Yeah, probably get a shout out there. So yeah, I didn't make a dime of it. I didn't even get a book for it. I don't get shit. It's okay. Hey, I got my name in the book. If that's even true. All right, let's get some final thoughts going and get out of here. Big Blue, final thoughts. What you got, man?
Hello, Jose. Yeah, I've been off talking with the University of Tennessee about Cavendish here in the last hour or so. And they're getting some pretty good test results. They're achieving values of big G of 6.71 times 10 to the minus 11th Newton meter squared per kilogram squared. It's only off by less than 0.5%. So Cavendish continues to operate and do what it's supposed to do. I'm absolutely thrilled. Anyway, thanks, Jose.
Thank you very much, Blue. Appreciate it. Bro, LM, final thoughts.
Yeah, I just asked if we heard hump Earth curve. I can't even say that, let alone 6 times fast. But so I could interject. So I'll just wait till last time, until next time, because that's a good one. I like what's called being sesquipedalian. But yeah, the boats, the Ships do navigate on a spherical map. That's all. Boom.
Yeah. I didn't do final thoughts yesterday because I had to run. I just shut it down. I just muted everybody and I went to another room. I said like, hey, thank you everybody, comment and all this good stuff. I'm out. I didn't have that extra 10 or 15 minutes to wrap up and to do final thoughts. So yeah, it's not that I'm not going to have more final thoughts anymore. My format, my show, it will not change. Now, if there's something that I have to run, I'll just shut it down. I'll tell you everybody like, I'm out. I didn't even tell you I'm out. You guys were caught up. We're like really in the heat of the conversation. If I shut everybody down to say I'm out, it would have just crashed the conversation completely. I know because it have happened. Even those people, the opposite, I don't know who was here, Gary or whoever, or Lemon, they would have left when I said like I'm out of YouTube. But I don't know how long they left after I left, so I didn't even want to interrupt the flow. Just so you guys know what went down yesterday when I left, and I didn't do final thoughts. C4, you got final thoughts for us today? How about Shaik? Gary, final thoughts? Grubus. Jesse Gordon, final thoughts?
Well, I sure would like to see Lemon's little laser that can shine on one side of a playing card and while curving around it while going straight. Great show, Jose.
Thank you very much. Final thoughts from Hold On. You can't see Polaris from northern Norway in June or July. Also, petrol is highly flammable. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We had Doofus Manfred had some final thoughts over here. He typed him in the box earlier, and he says, Lemonbird says my position is that light bends at 8 inches per mile square, which is false since 7/6R will instead be infinite. Lemonbird must lie about my position in order to pretend to have a position worth arguing. Doofus Manfred, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The Stingray, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think good show, but I think Lemon and Gary and pretty much every Flat Earther has to, like Doofus just said, they have to set up a straw man in terms of what they're arguing against, as in it's not the globe, it's their version of the globe that doesn't work, or an individual and an argument that they didn't make on a position that they don't hold. And that is the only way they get anywhere near being on an equal footing, because the second you evaluate it for what it is and the explanations and understand them, it predicts a sphere 100% of the time, all the time, testable, demonstrable. Cheers, Jose.
Thank you very much, Stingray. Appreciate that. And Tiny Captain.
Yeah, well, like Bro Alep said, I actually navigate on paper charts that are based on the globe. So, yeah, he was right.
Thank you very much. As Hannah Anderson say in YouTube chat box, y'all have yourself a fantastic Friday. This has been Jose J.G. Gonzalez. Boom. Thank you.